In this live video, if you're new here, welcome, and to my regular fan base, welcome back. So in this live video, we are going to discuss who I've alluded to in a few previous videos, Dr. Bosey, the psychiatrist in which I saw, which was mandatory as part of the court proceedings process. Well, just like the title says, but I'll say it in voice format right now to my audience. We're going to discuss, according to him, just from disagreeing with him, that I'm a, quote, narcissist. Oh man, in this audio recording, we're going to quote the many errors from this so-called expert. Yeah, expert. And projection and deflection from this professional. I won't go on too much in the cold open. I'm going to allow the voice recording to speak for itself because you cannot make this stuff up. Just like you couldn't make the stuff up related to what I was speaking of in my previous live videos. Beards, which you can see is quite short, but is already starting to get wiry. You think this is bad. When it's really long, it can get incredibly prickly. And of all things, your beards, scratching your son's face, which has been proven, can't make the stuff up. And strangulation accusations, can't make the stuff up. Well, we're going to talk about it because I've mentioned before in relation to what's going on and has been recently. In the second case, I've alluded to Dr. Bosey's name a few times. So I feel that it's the right time now in order for me to put this forth and showcase the other part of our story. A couple of things before. Oh, I didn't like how I sounded there. A couple of things. High pitch. Long day. A couple of things to dive into. I take the piss out myself. I don't give a shit, to be honest. Shouldn't swear. I'll try to be professional. But a couple of things to dive into. The first thing is, I apologise for messing up my usual intro. I usually say straight away, if you're new here, welcome. And to my regular fan base, welcome back. Although this time around I didn't. And the reason for this is because I kept getting distracted. I don't know if anybody else can relate. Sometimes, for whatever reason, the live won't load up on Facebook. I don't know why. But I've had to like copy and paste things now in my description so I don't lose it and I'm to retype it out. If that makes sense. So it's been like a few tries of trying to go live, not being able to, and finally being able to go live right now. And I was surprised. And this is why a lot of times as well, I might be out of sync or time. Because what I see visually, on my side, it says you're going live. But what I've noticed is that I'm a few seconds behind, maybe even 8 or 10 seconds behind. So to the viewer, I'm live already, but I'm just sitting there. Because I don't see anything on my side, so I'm just not in watch modes. Now I know I'm in watch mode for people watching me. I'm really paying attention to, what I say, right? My facials, my body language, all these things. Whereas you with me, but if you're not aware until you go live, yet people can see you, this is why A, there's a lag, and B, I might be off for whatever reason. Just as a side note. So apologies for messing up the intro there, but it's not a big deal at all. Just thought I'd put that forth, as well as mention about the lagging of the live, which has happened a few times. So again, apologies for that. I also wish to say, as I'm embarking on my YouTube journey and learning as I go and getting more mindful and better, I try to at least with each and every video. I've done two things today. The first thing is I'm putting, or I've put, an intense emphasis, as you can see behind me, on my backgrounds. So I've got some plants there. They're artificial plants, but they look really good, right? And I've got a nice moonlight with on top of the Buddha statue. That's with the Buddha statue. I just want to kind of make it my life's pleasant. And I think backgrounds says a lot, right? With plants and lights, it helps the viewer to feel relaxed and stay engaged, I think. And I'm learning this as I'm going along and with experience, if all this makes sense. So I hope you enjoy the backgrounds. I've explained the live as to why I messed up my intro and the lagging. Now, with all this said, let's jump straight into the voice recording, because this is going to be a big one. And it's so big that it needs to be done in two parts. Because it's 2 hours and 20 minutes, which is long. What I can do is play an hour and 10 minutes today. And what we'll do is we'll listen, but where necessary and relevant, and I'll try to not do too many, otherwise it will break the energy and the flow. So I'll try to use sparingly and space it out with pausing the audio and talking about it from my standpoint or perspective, based on what me and him being Dr. Bosi, the psychiatrist, based on what me and him are putting forth in the conversation, the audio conversation, if this makes sense. But I'll do it sparingly, like key points. So yeah, with all this said, please enjoy and ultimately learn as much as you can, because what I'm trying to do is, there's a time and a place for everything, so I won't say this right now, but I will say that it's my hope to help people out. And if I can help out just one person who's been, excuse my language, fucked over by the system, and if I could just help somebody who's going through it, or somebody who knows somebody else who is currently going through it, and they can learn from me and what to do and not what to do. Oh, sorry, what not to do. Yeah, what to do and what not to do, right? Sorry about the ding ding. Again, I have turned my phone on silence, but it doesn't seem to stop the ding ding on the laptop. So for that, I apologize. Anyway, I think that's everything covered. But yes, my ultimate goal is to help people. You can learn from me, my mistakes, my victories, and how we can ultimately insulate and protect ourselves whilst going under the parental alienation process relating to combating the local authorities. And wisdom is everything, I want to say as well, because we're so drowned in information. You know what the world is starving for? Before I play the voice recording to you, and I am leaning in for emphasis, the world is starving for wisdom. Really. Not information, because we're lost, we're overwhelmed. Wisdom is what we're missing, and is what we need. And what I can give wisdom wise to everybody from my journey and my sons and our comeback story, I just want to say that together we grow, and in unity we stand. With all this said, let's not waste any more time. Let's dive into things, and let's go and play the meeting between the psychiatrist, Dr. Bosey, and myself. Because, yes, it is really necessary to do this. I hope no one minds me smoking, by the way. Maybe it's not too professional, but I want people to know it's very hard to having to re-listen to this. But I'm doing this for my son, so that as he becomes older and awakened and aware, educated and empowered, he will know the truth. He will. He's going to know everything. It's going to be stored here, Instagram, Google Drive, everything. Friends, people I know, everything's going to be stored for him. No one can take this away from me and my son. He's going to know. Even if he is corrupted, he'll know the truth one day. And I do have, which is another story for another time, I do have good news to report, both in private solicitors, where I've got a strong case. I have to pay money for that, though, because, of course, ties into the political narrative of corruption. Money, right? But even if I do have to do that and go that route, I may be able to get free help with legal aid as well. And I've got a big filing chance as my knowledge grows. The more I'm doing this, and time's running out, so I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself for next week. But that's for future uploads. Anyway, with all this said, let's play the audio. 3, 2, 1, play.
Sorry about that. I was there on time.
Okay.
And all my Zoom things weren't 100%.
This is Dr. Bosey.
Into you, so I had to go back to the original email and then get in that way.
The psychiatrist.
Just sorry about that.
No problem at all.
Now, just the first thing, do you mind if I record us? So sometimes I can't get everything in.
Oh, that's fine. I'll record everything for my protection, so go ahead. Please do.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I'll scrub it straight after I've used it.
Okay.
But it's just sometimes people
Recording in progress.
get everything in.
No problem at all.
So I've been going through the notes. It's quite difficult actually to follow the notes. I gathered that you were under the Charing Cross forensic team for quite a long time. Is that right?
Key word, I was.
Yeah.
That has not been into fruition for quite a few years now.
When were you discharged from there?
It was more me discarding them and me choosing to create a life that I knew that I deserved, and that I knew I had it in my capabilities towards achieving. What do I mean by this, you're asking? Well, I chose, keyword underlined, bold, italic font, capital letters, I chose to walk away myself from the system. I knew it wasn't serving me. I was 29. I'd been realised at 29 years old, I was nearly 30. I realised that I was robbed off of my younghoods. I'm 36 now. Been in real world, 7 years since walking away, choosing to walk away. Got the house, got the business, got a son. So it was more a case of me discarding them when I moved in to my girlfriend's future wife and lived with her and at her mum's place and her mother, if this makes sense.
Yeah, so you moved in with your girlfriend.
Slash mother as well, slash my girlfriend's mum. Yeah. Because it's my girlfriend's, so it was my then girlfriend's future wife, but then girlfriend when I was 29 years old, slash her mother's house, which currently still is. So yes, I was living with my girlfriend and her mum. Yeah.
And she would died in COVID. Is that the same person? Or...
My wife passed away to COVID-19. My mother-in-law is still alive, and we're currently, as you should be aware of, in a bit of battle towards fighting for my son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think you have any mental health problems?
Well, I've been diagnosed with ADHD.
Yeah, when were you diagnosed? I've been looking through all of the papers, more than 1,000 papers. Can't find the actual assessment. When it was?
With respect, I'm not going to do your job for you. I've done that enough.
When it was? I mean, that means that when you were diagnosed with the condition.
Well, roughly.
Doing my job for me.
I mean, roughly, because, I've been too nice and I've gone above and beyond to doing other people's job for them. I'm just getting sick and tired of it. I'll give you the rough year.
Exactly.
The rough year would have been, this is approximately, so don't take my word, just for the record, this is being voice recorded, and just in order to promote transparency in account.
This is a rough.
No, I understand. So in order
to,
so in order to promote accountability, okay, and transparency, okay, for the records, okay, do you understand? I am saying I'm giving you a rough estimate, but I don't know for sure for the record. So now that's out of the way. Now I've declared that, so no one can use that against me. Roughly the year, I would say roughly was 2014, approximately again. Roughly, okay?
Yeah, and you might not remember, but a lot of people do. Do you remember who diagnosed you?
No.
And do you remember where it was?
Yes.
Where was it?
You don't have this information yourself?
I've looked for it and I can't see it.
So again, it comes back down to me doing other people's jobs for them, isn't it? It was at the Pall Mall Centre in Ladbroke Grove, okay? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
But you've never been treated with ADHD medication?
I mean, I've been given citalopram, but that doesn't specifically target ADHD. But I'm very against medication. I see what it does to people. I see it robs individuals of their uniqueness. I see that everyone's a carbon copy in a zombified, anxious state. That's what I see, a weakened state. I prefer...
You're not... have you ever tried it yourself?
I prefer more holistic approaches. What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is I don't need medication, because my way of dealing with ADHD is through exercise, okay? It's through meditation, candlelit baths, okay? It's through cycling, okay? Nature is a big one. I'm a massive advocate for nature. Being productive, my work, keeping busy so that my mind is stimulated, and I feel like that I'm achieving moments of greatness. To me, that stimulates my ADHD brain. And here's a little side note for you. Some of the great influencers of all time, guess what, had ADHD. Albert Einstein, one of the most influential scientists ever, had ADHD. Get this, Richard Branson, multi-billionaire, owns Virgin Airlines. Look it up. He's got ADHD. So people will proclaim that I'm difficult to work with, or I don't fit the status quo just because I'm different. But I will say that ADHD people know their worth and their value. And I do things my way. I do things holistically, and that's how I prefer to go about things. So that's me personally. I don't take medication.
But you have to prove, like, if I'm talking to a Jewish person and they are saying, more than 25% of the Nobel Prize winners were Jewish, and just say, so they're saying, therefore, I am great, just by being, and, in fact, there's a lot of Nobel Prize winners, I bet you can't name them, who've got ADHD. Can you name any of them at all?
I might be mistaken here. Is his name Tom? Tom Baroni? Baroni? I think he may have won one.
No, I don't know about that one. I mean, Einstein did win one, okay?
He was the most influential scientist ever. Richard Branson's got ADHD and he owns Virgin Airlines and he's a multi-billionaire, so...
Yes, but...
But what?
You've got to say, and I have not been treated for ADHD,
Okay.
and I've got this multi-million-pound business, or I have won this Nobel Prize, or... Do you know what I mean? I mean, an awful lot of the most famous people with ADHD, okay? Have you heard of Felix Dennis?
Never heard of him.
Okay, he's someone who's very, very interesting,
Okay.
who, you know, had seriously bad ADHD, was always getting expelled from schools, etc.
Okay.
He was a multi-billionaire entrepreneur who also became the most published poet of the 21st century.
Nice.
He used to, before anybody even knew about adult ADHD in the 80s, was self-medicating himself with amphetamine, okay? And that is the only way he said that he was able to do any of his business, exploits or, you know, all the things that he did. So you have to say that, look how great I am, because I have accomplished this and I haven't treated my ADHD. So look at me, you know, look at all my published novels. Because even people who may do very well with their ADHD in certain parts of their life will take treatment for other parts, okay? So when some people go on stage, okay, as people I've diagnosed with ADHD, who are quite famous and go and give talks, you know, or a comedian, should I say, rather than give talks. They do not take ADHD before they go on stage, but they take it for their home life, okay? Because then otherwise there'd be a nightmare to be with in the house.
Well, that's a minority of people, but then there's another category, respectfully, who are like me and prefer the holistic approach where they don't agree with that.
What have you done?
Where they don't prefer pharmaceutical drugs. So there's one category. So there's one category. You can interrupt me. I have to keep repeating myself respectfully. There's one category, as you put forth, okay, that don't agree with it. This is true. However, what I would say is that there's another category of individuals who have ADHD but have relied on exercise, nature, holistic ways.
And then you've got to say, and I've accomplished all of this.
I've accomplished all of this? What do you mean?
What? So you've got to say, and because I've not had my ADHD treated, I've been running an airline, or I've been, you know...
Did I ever say for a second that Richard Branson wasn't having his ADHD treated? I just said he's a multi-billionaire who has ADHD.
Yeah, but you're not making also the other point I'd like to point out. Okay,
all right, I'm listening.
Is that you have not even had, even tried ADHD medication, so you don't even know what effect it will have on you.
Well, I've tried citalopram, which is the generic medication
that... It's nothing to do with. In fact, that would likely, if you took the average, you know, get 100 people with ADHD and put them on citalopram, the average would be that they'd end up worse.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd absolutely agree with that.
There would be people who have very high levels of anxiety, general floating anxiety, but that can be due to ADHD by itself. Or they could be people who have depressive episodes, okay? But it might be helpful as well. I wouldn't say that just because you have ADHD you shouldn't take citalopram. But for the average person with ADHD, that citalopram would actually be... It wouldn't really do anything at all, or it'll give them the side effects.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Okay, let us leave that, because we could spend too much time talking about that level. So I haven't found...
Let me just pause here and double down on this. So when taking citalopram, I found that it just robs me of my uniqueness. It turns you into, like, as you heard in the audio, a zombified state, a weakened state. And I didn't like it. I think it did a lot more harm than good for me with, ADHD myself. And yeah, I'm just, for the records, I'm a fan of holistic measures, not pharmaceutical, sorry, pharmaceutical drugs. How did I say it right? Pharmacy drugs. I'm not a fan of that because it's, in my case, it does a lot more harm than good. Let's keep playing.
Well, going through your notes.
Okay.
So you have to bear with me and do my job for me again.
Haha, right.
know some more about your personal life. Okay, so where were you born?
Well, I was born in Paddington, and the hospital name is St Mary's.
Oh, I was born there.
St Mary's Hospital. Yeah, you was born there, wasn't you?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And where were you brought up?
I was brought up, obviously, originally by my mum at first. As a few.
But where, like, which area were you brought up? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't say that. So I was brought up in many areas. The reason for this is because my mum looked after me for 4 years. Well, as you and I both know, mental health wasn't understood. So my point is, she couldn't handle me, and I thereby went into care. Now, this ties into my point, without sounding cocky, to answer your question, pertaining towards the areas I've lived. Because the fact that I grew up in the care system, okay, the first place was a foster placement. That was in Tufnell Park. I don't know how I remember this. I just seem to do from childhood. I don't know why or how. But I remember living in Tufnell Park, and that was my first foster placement. I remember living in a children's homes thereafter, and that was like Ladbroke Grove side. I remember that. I remember going to, after the children's home, a foster placement. I forgot where that part was. But I remember going to Milton Keynes after that one. So I've lived many places. Maida Vale I've lived, in the supported accommodation place, Oxford Circus, and hostels. I mean, you name it, all over. So.
Yeah. Oh, and did you go from school to school as well?
When you say school to school, could you be more specific?
No, did you go to many different schools, or did you spend most of the time in one school?
I went to many different schools.
And did you get expelled from any schools?
Yes, I did. This is
And
true.
how many did you get expelled from?
Well, quite a few, but in order to promote transparency and accountability, two things. The first thing is, mental health wasn't understood back then, and as a child, you don't know what you're born with. No one knew that you were different, right? And I went through a lot of bullying, a lot of animosity for being different. We all know mental health, you're not going to like this, but, these days everyone's got a mental health problem. Everyone's had that. Everyone's COVID, right? You know why? Because you cannot feel without experience or experiencing. It took a worldwide pandemic in order for mental health to be remotely understood. This is facts. Sorry, not sorry. And I'm not negating people's feelings that they'll say the world affairs haven't impacted people that have had relatively normal lives pre-COVID. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, based on the facts, that it took a worldwide pandemic for mental health to be understood. This is facts. This is not opinion. This is fact. It meant that back in the day, in the 90s, and with respect, the utmost love and respect, I feel that in the 90s, if you were looked at as, if you appeared different, or you acted differently to other people, people would take the mick out of you, right? Or they'll put a title on you, or this and this. So what does that mean? Well, that meant I went through a lot of bullying. That meant I had to fight. That meant I had to fight to survive. Yeah. And I did that.
How were you different then?
Well, obviously I didn't know it at the time. Now it's been made clear that I've got ADHD. But at the time, I didn't know I had ADHD. Because again, mental health wasn't
What did you have actually?
because mental health was not understood back in the day. So yeah.
But there isn't like just one way that children with ADHD present. So I was wondering what was the, you were saying that you were different from the other children and therefore you were bullied. So I was wondering about in how you were different.
Okay. Well, one of the key points behind how I was different would be how I learned. And how I learned was I'm not going to learn. I'm just putting my phone on charge, excuse me. I'm not going to learn the way that other people are used to learning. Now, the reason for this was being different with ADHD, I learn differently and in a certain way. I have to I get things quickly, but I don't also I like to master something. So people with ADHD, they like to excel. They like to master. They don't just like to excuse my language, half-ass things. They like to do tasks properly and articulately. And they do it and store as much information in their brain as possible so that they can excel in that area. And this is why, this is not my opinion, this is fact. If you look at your research, do your research and look at ADHD, some of the most successful people ever have ADHD because they excel, you know.
Nobody knows more about ADHD than I do, okay? So you...
Pause. In this man's report, he said I was narcissistic. Moreover, you will hear this in the voice recording saying that how I sound is narcissistic as we go deeper into the recording. But let me pause here for a second. Who is the narcissist? Let's rewind 15 seconds back. Let's play again if we can. And I'll show you what I mean.
This is not my opinion, this is fact. If you look at your research, do your research and look at ADHD, some of the most successful people ever have ADHD because they excel, you know.
Nobody knows more about ADHD than I do, okay? So you can say what everything.
Really now? No one knows any more about ADHD than you? You sure?
Yeah, I can promise you, okay? Absolutely promise you. So, anyway, what you're not getting down to...
I somehow doubt that, but yeah, go ahead.
Right, okay?
Yeah.
Some people will, with ADHD, when they normally they talk about this, they explain it a bit more than you do, okay? So, what was the different way that you learned from the other children?
So, I would, how I will be different is and learn is because I preferred being in a small class as opposed to a big class so that I could take things in better. It's common knowledge that with ADHD, if you're in a big setting, you're easily distracted, right? So you proclaiming that no one knows more about ADHD than you, right? So you should know that, right? That we're very easily distracted. So it means that I was I preferred a small class because I knew that I was easily distracted. Therefore, does that make sense? So, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
But what about things like spelling? What do people usually say about how they learn things in spelling when they've got ADHD?
My spelling...
Why is it that some, when you're actually looking at, they have a spelling bee competition in America.
Okay.
They go through all the schools and they work out who's the best speller.
Okay.
Why is it so many of those best spellers have got ADHD? in the whole country.
I mean,
Are you a good speller? Or are you just bad at spelling?
I would say for if we're talking like, how do I put this? I think I'm above the slightly, very slightly above the average in terms of like a generic sense. So I think I'm relatively decent at spelling.
But you're not like the best speller.
Oh, absolutely not. Nor would I proclaim to be.
Okay.
I would say I'm above average, just above average.
Of why it would be that some people with ADHD might be so amazing at spelling.
Well, this is a great question. That's one way of looking at it with spelling.
No, I'm saying that you said that they learn differently.
Yeah.
So it's along those lines.
Well, I was talking about in my case, and I learned.
I know.
Yeah, I learned differently by way of being in a smaller class, and that's what I said, because I'm easily distracted. Those were my words.
No, and that's true. If you are, in fact, 1-to-1 is actually the best way of learning if you've got ADHD.
Agreed. To a certain degree, I'd agree with that.
So, did you have what's it called in here? You know when they give you special resources as a child? What's that called?
You mean like one-on-one time? Do you mean appointments? Do you mean?
No, they've got this word for like children at school. They need to get. It's not sectioned, but it keeps on going into my brain. No, anyway, but they're given.
You mean like the code words? Code words? I think the code.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, what are you given? Like, do you ever have to go to special schooling or special classes or anything
Well,
like that?
I went to special schools, but it was more a case of, if memory serves me, it was more a case of my mental health needs not being understood back then, because again, mental health wasn't understood, but also additionally, because people mistook me the wrong way, and there wasn't the degree of knowledge that there is now in these days, or in these times, these days, right? It meant that because I was always misunderstood, I became frustrated because I was targeted. Even the teachers who were supposedly so-called professional, they targeted me, they bullied me, believe it or not. Now teachers these days can't get away with it, but teachers in the 90s, let me tell you something, they did a lot of bad things, let's just say that, put it nicely. So I see you nodding your head, we agree on that. So I was targeted by teachers bullying me and children. So what did that mean? So it's not to waffle on, but it meant my behaviour declined. I was acting out aggressively. I was defending myself from being bullied. It meant that I was suspended, then I was expelled, and then this, and then that. And it was just an endless loop, and then the cycle.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
did you stop attending school at some point?
You mean by choice or by not being allowed to attend school by law because of suspensions or
Either.
Either or. Fair enough. Now we've clarified that. So yes, let's start with by choice. Yes, I'll be honest. There were times where I bunked off school. I mean, many people did, right? You can't just exclude that to ADHD. Many people have bunked off school, but yeah, I did. I was one of those people that bunked off. But also, I missed a lot of school due to the facts, not opinion, facts, okay, that I was suspended and even expelled from certain schools due to behaviour issues. This is true in order to promote accountability and transparency. Myself, this is true.
Yeah.
I'm always accountable for myself. I don't just want to keep others accountable. If I say it, if I preach it, I act it. My actions reflect my words, unlike the local authority. Just putting that out there. And I love that about myself, accountability. I really do. Being accountable for doing right being accountable for your mishaps, being accountable for your mistakes so that you can learn from them and grow through it and get better to enhance and enrich your own toolkit as a human being so that you can essentially and ultimately evolve as a human being. Let's keep playing.
And what kind of behaviour issues would they be?
Well, again, it will be like self-defensive from being bullied or hit. What am I going to do? Be a punching bag? So I fight back.
As reactive, like somebody would call you a name and you don't react, kind of thing.
When you say overreact, could you go into the specificities here?
So it would be
Sorry, the
kind of-
specificities.
somebody would be, you know, calling you a name, something like that, or,
Right.
and then you would hit them or something like that.
I would never hit anybody to my recollection for just being called a name. See, that's why I questioned that. I've always had the codes. I've never hit anybody unless I've been struck first. Always. I might do.
Retaliate.
Yes. If I'm assaulted physically, I will fight back. But I've never hit anybody first. No, not without deliberate cause, not without provocation, and being responding in self-defense. Then I fight back.
And once you started hitting someone, would you be able to stop, or would you have to continue? You know?
Oh, I was able to stop, but there were times as well in the school where staff would not take that chance. They would split up the fights, and they do that with other kids as well. I mean, case in point, in special schools, because because I was expelled from many schools due to mental health not being understood, due to being targeted, due to filing, as we've discussed so far. It meant subsequently that I had to go to special schools. Now, what did that mean? That meant that it doesn't dip down, it rises up, because you're in a special school with other kids who have behavioural needs. But of course, what the good old system does, rather than be accountable and work on an individual, properly, they're going to put a tile on you and just label you as a problem when they're the problem for not being accountable. And but who am I? Like the authorities, anyway. I'm getting sidetracked here. But anyway, what am I saying? So in behavioural schools, in special schools, regarding behavioural difficulties, it doesn't dip, it increases. You and I both know this. So I was around
the chances of misbehaving increases,
kids that have behavioural issues, and of course that accentuated my behavioural stuff.
Which is it.
So when did you stop going in?
Which is
To special schools?
No, to you, when you said that you stopped going in yourself to school, what age was that?
So that would be when I was a teenager.
Yeah, but 13 or 14 or 15.
So that would be,
Again.
I mean, with respect, you're asking the world, because I'm 36. I've had a lot going on in my life, so I can give you an approximate, respectfully. But yeah, roughly, I don't take my word for it, but approximately, I would say 13. Yes.
Yeah. And did you spend most of that time with other kids when you weren't at school?
I would spend time with other children, yes. Bunking off of school. So yes, to answer your question, yes. Bunking off school, we would do what naughty teenagers do. Go around creating mischief, smoking, right? Which we think was the cool thing to do back then. And of course you find out, like an idiot, to this day I still smoke. But at the time in school, you think you're cool, right? So we'll be doing these things and bunking and doing mischief, what a lot of children do.
Yeah. And what did you do after school? Like, do you mean like after you were too old to go to school, what did you do?
So after school, because I was...
When you were about 16, what were you doing then?
So to answer your question,
Yeah.
after school, because I was a child and we didn't get much money back then, or pocket money, I mean, foster carers, a lot of them, they do it for the money, they don't do it for the love. I hardly ever had pocket money. So I would just be, me personally, I think I can afford things, but I'll do window shopping. I would like go around to shops and window shop and just eye up things. Whether it was back then we had CDs, we had Woolworths. We don't have that now, they shut, but back then we had good old Woolies, right? Good old Woolworths. I'll go into the Woolworths and look at all the CD covers and you know, like pick and mix and, you know, all these things, you know?
Yeah. Were you into shoplifting at all?
In order to promote transparency and accountability, yes, I've shoplifted.
Yeah, no, that's very common, you know. In the follow-up of many ADHD children, that was the main criminal record that they'd had as adults, though, not as children.
Okay.
But you weren't addicted to shoplifting ever.
No.
Because that gets common as well.
Well, define addiction, because I mean...
Addiction is, because what happens with ADHD and shoplifting, okay, is normally there's a rising tension before you shoplift, and then there's resolvement, you know, you take the thing, and then it calms, and it kind of works a little bit like ADHD medication, because as the adrenaline goes up, your brain feels more calm. Right. So it's kind of like almost self-medicating because you're feeling calmer when you do it. So then you do that repeatedly to feel calmer.
Well, I mean, that may be the case with certain people of ADHD. I'm not disputing that, but I would argue...
Yeah, obviously, all these things, there's nothing that you can say an ADHD person does that.
But I would argue that it's individualistic. I would argue that it's individualistic, and it depends, okay, on the characteristic of personality. That's what I would say. It's individualistic.
So you weren't addicted into any kind of, like I just saw somebody just before you, they were addicted to burglaries.
Okay.
So there wasn't any kind of... It doesn't have to be a bad thing, you know. You can be addicted to playing a musical instrument, or you can be addicted to, you know, integral calculus. You know, it could be something useful, right? But there weren't any addictive behaviours that you had when you were a teenager.
No.
This so-called, let me pause this right here and expose this clown. Apologies if you saw I'm eating Doritos, cheesy Doritos. Perhaps I should be more professional. Apologies for this, but I just noticed talking, it was lodged in my mouth. Sorry for that. But let me expose this clown. I need my snacks, man, in long lives. Come on, especially when going over these voice audios, you know, for good reason. I want to protect other people and their children, but it is exhausting to me. I need my snacks to keep energized, man. Come on. But let's triple down on this point, what he says about addictive behaviors. And he's an expert. He's an expert, right? He's a professional expert. Right? Wrong. Because why does it have to be ADHD centric? Why could it not be neurotypical? And now there's all these titles, isn't there? I'm neurodiverse. Why isn't it a normal person who has got no problems? Like, why isn't it a pointer to them as well? Think about it. Just because they're normal people or neurotypical people, does that mean that they don't have addictive personalities? Does it? I don't think it does. There's a person with, say, a different condition, bipolar disorder. Do they not have their own addictive personalities? You know, just want to call that out there. And he's a so-called professional. But he's excluding, sorry, not excluding, that's the wrong word. He's saying it's an exclusive, I should say. It's an exclusive, and Sorry, it's an exclusivity. That's a big word. An exclusivity to ADHD in relation to addictive behaviors. So I want to call that out because I don't think that's true. I don't. I think it could be anybody. It could be anybody who's normal without any issues, or additionally, other mental health issues alike as well. Let's keep playing.
In terms of shoplifting, there wasn't. I shoplifted because
in anything, you know, like
I'll answer your question, but if I may just quickly finish, I was respectfully, I wasn't addicted psychologically to shoplifting. I was addicted to shoplifting for I didn't have any funds to begin with, or very little. I was given very little pocket money. So I did that as a child because I was being robbed off of my childhood. I needed to steal. So I did it for, I guess you could say, the psychological gratitude or psychological, like, child needs being met. I guess you could argue that. That's what I did. I would say that personally.
Yeah, you weren't addicted to shoplifting, you know.
But it wasn't like an addiction per se. It was like, I was more of a need. It was more of a psychological need. I wasn't given any pocket money. Of course I'm going to steal as a child. I started picking mixed sweets in order to promote accountability and transparency. I did. I started picking mixed sweets. I think a lot of children did. I stole CDs. I did. I'll be honest.
No, I don't think anyone didn't still pick and mix sweets.
Exactly. Right?
Well, at least he admits that.
You asked me another question about...
At least he admits that.
I forgot. Forgive me before I finish.
Yeah,
pick and mix
normally,
sweets.
People with ADHD, they normally do get into something that calms their brain, so they do that as a way of escape, or...
Well,
say...
Yes.
Common one would be video games, but it can be a lot more exciting than that.
Well, the thing, for me, before my beautiful son was taken away from me, but week by week, contact by contact, proof by proof, evidence stacking by evidence stacking, truths coming out. We're in family court in January, and I am, because my witness, going to win my son back. I've already unravelled many lies told about me by his nan, and I will continue to do such. That's another story for another time. But my point is, before my son was taken away, my boy, as my boy's father, he was my why. He was mellowing me out. He was everything that I needed. I was developing my son spiritually, academically, psychologically, emotionally. I was doing this. And his nan was. But was doing 50-50 co-parenting. And then Nana played early, got a lovely carer's allowance, dragged up my criminal history, because I refused initially to accept her as special guardian, because it meant I would have no power over my own child's decision-making. And then she played early. But anyways, my point is, before my son was taken, I had him. Now, I have to rely on work. And thankfully, my angel's with me right now. Dear friend of mine, I'm looking after a 9-year-old, her son currently. They're with me right now. So, just for the record there. But, they keep me going. My work keeps...
I want to say a big shout out to a dear friend of mine. Her name's Lenka. And her now 10-year-old son. I won't say his name due to privacy. But if you ever watch this, Lenka, I love you. I want to say thank you for being here. I don't think I could have got to the level that I'm at right now if you were not in my life. And I want to say thank you to your son for making me remember how to be a father to my own child and my son. Thank you. And I love you. Salut. Big shout out there. Thank you. Very grateful.
Me going, you know?
So what, at 16, it seems, that you started getting into trouble with the police. Okay, do you remember much about that? From about 2003, there are offence against a person and criminal damage and things like that.
Yes.
You remember what that was related to in a gang, or what was?
So yeah, quite a few factors. So in the care system, you're in children's homes, and what that means is you're around other children who are labelled as a lost cause. That's just the cowardly way out of putting a title of someone by calling a child a lost cause, rather than accepting responsibility and accountability. This is where the authorities are deluded. Deluded. What am I saying? Deluded. And they are. You think you put a title on the child? No, it means that you're not responsible for developing that child and doing your job. Anyway, that's another story for another time. But my point is, because we were labelled as lost causes, labelled as lost causes as children, right? And we was mixed with other children who, myself, 3, 4, 5 in the children's homes, other additional lost causes. It meant that we had, many times I'd be around other kids and we considered each other family in the moment. Why is this? Well, the aforementioned points put forth, given away, we had no identity, we relied on the other. We didn't realise it then as children, of course. Looking back as we get older, more maturer, we recognise. But back then, so other children we viewed as identity and being able to identify it / resonate with. And what that meant was, because, again, we don't see this as kids. It's one of those situations you look back in retrospect / hindsight, okay? You're able to see the truth. Now, you go out and you create mischief together because that's anger for the child. That's the child expressing their feelings of the negative feelings of being given away, of being rejected. So that means the child becomes angry. I did. Many other children did. We would commit crimes together. We would see each other as family and go out and create mischief together to release. For the third time, we don't see it as children, but we look back, we can see, to release our aggression, to release us, express our suppressed emotions. We did it out of anger, right? That's my belief, And so, yeah, there was a lot of mischief, I'll be honest, in order to promote transparency and accountability. Yes, there was. I think.
Do you notice the intense emphasis I put on accountability? Not only do I keep others accountable, as I've already pointed out, I keep myself accountable, and I love that about me, to evolve as a human being, to enhance and enrich my own toolkits, because that's where I'm fundamentally underdeveloped if I don't be accountable. I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to evolve. But accountability, unlike the authorities who are never accountable, who just ghost, deflects, gaslight. I've got many things to say about these people in future videos.
Get a lot of mischief in children's homes. This is true.
So were you quite angry most of the time at that point?
And I'm alluding to the social workers themselves in their position, just for context, by the way, with my previous point.
When you were a late teenager.
Was I quite angry?
I was.
Yeah.
It depends on where. So, I'll answer this question very, very honestly. 1 second, pause. I'll answer this question honestly. So, do you remember when I said to you, I lived in Milton Keynes at the start of our meeting, and I lived there after my third children's home. So long story short, I lived there for 4 years. This is where I was abused I was like, I went through the most hellacious times as a child in that time. My records will reflect this. So it was for 4 years. I was in the foster care place. I was bullied. I was burnt. You know, like they used to be these lights with the holes in, and I think they're like mini lava lamps. So anyway, back in the day, they were like these really huge, big, tall ones. And then, you know, they've got the gap where it gets really hot. I didn't know at the time I was sleeping, but just to give you an example, because it's going to answer your question, but be patient. Stick with me. So I was sleeping on the bunk beds, because we had a bunk bed, me and one of my foster brothers, yeah? So what happened was, I was sleeping, and then I wake up. And I wake up because going back to where that gap was in the lava lamp, turns out they put a penny or a 2p piece, right? And dropped it right on my chest, as an example. I had welts, right? I was made to drink my own piss. I was beaten, you know, I was sexually abused in this place, right? Milton Keynes with foster brothers. There are other children there, one female and one male. I don't know how I remember their ages. One was 5, I think the foster brother was 5, and the female was 7. When after 4 years of being bullied and this, I had enough. My mum could see what was going on. She still cared, even though she put me in the care. She still visited, and she sensed what was going on. And after 4 years, the social services, they put me into another children's homes in London. They rescued me from that place. But my point is, and I'm going on and on, but my point is, in addition to being burned, in addition to being hit, in addition to being sexually assaulted, in addition to having a foster mum who didn't give a shit about me, all these things from teenagers. Sorry, I should say, yeah, I think I was 14 when leaving there, 13 or 14. And since that point, when I put me to a children's home in Maida Vale, okay, I remember at the children's home because it was near where my mum lived. God rest her soul, she's deceased. But near where my mum's place was, that's how I remember the children's home. It was called Steps Children's Home. So,
Love you, Ben.
after that, foster with the aforementioned points of what I went through in Milton Keynes, yes, I went through a lot of anger. A lot. Yes, this is true. Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
Ha ha he he. Right.
Did you ever get, you know, overexcited when you were younger? You know, like, did you ever get very loud when you got into something? Or did you laugh really loudly, you know, if it was abnormal?
You're saying abnormal to someone.
Abnormal means louder than everybody else around.
Yeah, but you're saying abnormal to the degree of what's the norm to individuals who do not have ADHD. I would counter that and say for people with ADHD, being loud is just common. Respectfully.
Yeah, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
Other people, it's a difficult one, that, because I think you're probably mixing with a few people with ADHD as well anyway in your late teens. Maybe a lot of them had conduct disorder and didn't have ADHD, but that is common as well.
Got it. Okay.
No, yeah, I mean, only if you take a certain life course. You know that most people with adult ADHD, more than half, have got no criminal record at all. None. So,
Okay.
you know, you are in a minority, but if you looked at the prison population, you would have quite a high level of ADHD. So,
Okay. But respectfully to counter that, I'm not disregarding what you're saying, and what you're saying, you know, being that you say no one knows more than ADHD about you, how true that is, I don't know. But yeah, I'm not disregarding what you're saying, but bear in mind, respectfully, I grew up in the care system. I was sexually abused, physically abused, burnt, right? But people will choose to leave that detail out and that fact out. They won't look through the many types of abuse I went through with foster carers and foster brothers alike. They will negate that, or even the staff members, who are so-called professionals. But the amount I've gotten into fistfights with a couple of staff, believe it or not, and they're meant to be professional, really. So I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying you're wrong, like, but I love this quote, and I want you to feel this. Very few people can walk in very few people can lace my boots because you haven't walked in my shoes. Going through like the care system, man, all the types of things that have happened to me, right? All the areas, so many areas, all the schools, all the abuse by staff in schools. I've gone through a lot of things in my life, man. Many variables of things, types of abuse, psychological, emotional, spiritual, physical, sexual. Teachers. You can't get away with this day, but back in the day, teachers were at these special schools. Believe me, I've gone through many things in my life. So I'm just saying, in that sense, that's why. Doesn't excuse it, but I am trying to somewhat justify me going to prison. Admittedly.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of correlation, isn't there, between those things?
Well, yeah. Yes.
Okay, so, in a normal day, nowadays, we're talking about nowadays, right?
All right. Okay.
So, during a day, nowadays, what is your mood like? Is it quite stable?
Yeah. Honest answer, yes. I have a very disciplined way of life, of doing things. I start my morning off with exercising every day. I lift weights at home, I do press-ups, sit-ups, things like this. Meditation. I've got a strict schedule behind that. I start my day off always productively.
And you meditate?
I do.
So when you meditate, what do you mean?
So, as an example, I'll be in the bubble bath, and then I'll be taking deep breaths. And I could just be like, in a bubble bath, I could have candles at night, and I'll double down and listen to soothing sounds on my phone, on YouTube, say, right?
Okay, but there's still, you see, you're not really meditating, because you're listening to the sounds, okay? Could you sit there in the bubble bath?
Oh, I do that in silence as well. Yes. Yes, I do. And what I'll do is, I'll put my heads under the bubble bath, and I would just for 5 seconds and shut my eyes, and then I'll come up. Think of a butterfly as you're in a swimming pool, and you're doing the butterfly, right? Or the head bopping like this, right? So what I would do is I'll go for 5 seconds in the bubbles, and then 5 seconds come out. Then I'll go, do a deep breath, and then I'll head bop back down into the bubbles, right? Come back up, do a deep breath. So just as an example, I do this just in order to promote transparency and accountability with YouTube and without YouTube alike. Depends on my mood. But yes, but that's a technique I'll do as well with the aforementioned points about the bubble bath.
Yeah. Can you make your brain go silent if you want to?
Yes. I'm a big... Hello? Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just thinking, because you might have grown out of your ADHD, actually.
I've got to pause it here. You might have grown out of your ADHD, actually. Really? This is a professional? No one knows more about ADHD than me. This is what you heard him say at the start of this audio. Or I should say, between 10 to 15 minutes, roughly, give or take. following the start of the audio more specifically and accurately. So, in addition to him deflecting and projecting, deflecting his actions, right? Of what to me that's narcissistic. No one knows more than me. To me, that embodies what narcissism is. But he's projecting in his reports, and you will hear him say in the audio at some point about what I'm saying sounds narcissistic as well. And when he did his follow-up reports, he indeed mentioned that I supposedly have narcissistic traits. My belief is this is merely a projection, and it's a deflection of his own unprofessionalism. It's my honest opinion. Moreover, also a narcissist they can't be accountable, they can't introspect, they can't have empathy. Okay, they're not compassionate. They don't look at things from the opposing viewpoint opposite to their own, because their pride and ego gets in the way. No, I'm the reverse. To me, looking at the opposing viewpoint opposite to mine, opposite to my personality, can extend my own temperamental capability if I acknowledge what's been put forth and I agree, even if I begrudgingly agree, and I can learn something about myself. I can learn something by looking at by listening to the other opposing viewpoint opposite to mine. A narcissist could do this. Never. They could not. Let's continue on. It's food for thoughts. Let's continue on.
Then, because that would be a crucial thing you can't do if you have ADHD. Like, to actually be able to silence your brain at will,
Okay.
I think you might have even grown out of it, actually.
Oh, hang on.
Like, that's... I think you might have even grown out of it, actually.
You hear that?
Okay.
I think you might have even grown out of it, actually.
Grown out of it, actually. There was a noise there when he said grown, but I think you heard it. How do you grow? Pause. How the... I really don't want to swear. I want to try and be professional, but how do you grow out of ADHD? This is a lifelong condition. You don't grow out of it. There's tools available. It's manageable. Just like autism's manageable or Asperger's syndrome is manageable if you apply the correct tools. It's never curable, but it's always manageable. How do you grow out of it? And this guy is a professional? Nobody knows about ADHD more than me. Right? Well, what am I missing? I don't understand. Let's keep playing. I don't know.
Like, that's really very difficult.
Well, I'm a big advocate for silence, and I believe that in a world where everybody seemingly wants you to speak out, and people, for some reason, if they're with another person, they feel a constant urge to like make small talk or make noise. And the truth is, it's insecurity themselves. It's insecurity of they're worried about what the other person's thinking, and they don't want to be alone with their own thoughts while they're with another person, because they haven't dealt with the skeletons in their own closet. So they will revert to noise and distraction. I'm a big advocate for quiet and introspection. And I find that in the quiet, behind all the noise and the blah, 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 the quiet will tell you a lot. The energy, if you're with somebody, give it a try. Rather than just talk all the time. If you do, I'm not saying you do necessarily, but if you do, give it a try of just not saying anything and be quiet. Energy will tell you a lot more than words could ever. Truth.
So you prefer the quiet to, like, having music on in the background or something like that?
Yeah, like, I prefer the quiet as in, I like to be by myself, and I like to be one with my thoughts. I'm a big believer, I consider myself as a super empath, and I'm able to like read energies really well. And I don't know if you heard of what a super empath is, but you're able to like sense other energies or atmospheres. And there's a lot of toxicity out there now in the world. There's a lot of negativity now. People are acting very aggressive, negative. My point is, I don't like to be around that self-destructive behaviour. Case in point, when I used to do the school runs, you know what I'll do? Rather than get the bus and be on that, like, start my day off shitty, excuse me, I shouldn't swear, excuse me, start my day off rubbish, excuse my swearing, start my day off rubbishly by being around all this toxic energy, right? Say you're on a cramped bus, rush hour, right? No, F that, I'll walk all the way to my son's school. So, what am I saying? To my son's nan's, pick him up, and then get on the E2 bus to drop my son to his school. Now, you're going to ask, why did I get on another bus? Well, the truth is, I had my son as a distraction, and I'll be using my positive energy, and we'll talk about, what are you going to learn today in school, son? What friends are you going to talk with, son? Or how do you think your English is going, son? We'll talk on the bus. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you have trouble getting off to sleep?
I used to have trouble getting off to sleep. These days, I'm a lot better at getting to sleep because I'm very busy now. I've got a lot of things that are taking my energy now. Whether that's fighting my legal battles, whether that's looking after my friend, taking them in, and my friend's child who's 9, who's currently staying with me. Whether that's my work, whether that's all the battling with the meetings I've got coming up after you. Guess what? I've got to go tomorrow. Or got to see a psychiatrist for a grueling 5 hours. So whether it's all the appointments, contact with my son's school. My point
Is
is,
a psychologist tomorrow?
is it a psychologist tomorrow?
Yeah, admittedly, I got confused there. I had to see a psychologist. Now, I do have a voice recording of this, but I'll have to try and find this and put it forth when the time's right. But I feel that it would be quite boring for that particular one because there I was supposed to like, it was in my backpack, so the sound might be a bit muffled and you won't be able to hear and it'll be hard to hear. But also, I was doing many tests there and it was to do with like numbers and like cognitive functioning and all this stuff. And I don't understand what that has to do with raising of or the raising of a child. To a certain degree, maybe it does, but I was just saying, well, talk to me about the emotions. Talk to me about emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually raising a child. Talk to me about that because I'm very good at that. I've proven this in previous videos. And there'll be more to talk about with Dr. Corson in the future. So store this name in the back of your minds. Time and a place, but we'll talk about her in future uploads as well. I don't know when, for accountability for me and for transparency to my audience. I don't know, but accountability to me, I'm hoping to do it as this story is unraveling. Sorry, unraveling. As we've got to through the feeling out process. I believe now there's like, how many videos? I think there's 40 videos now. I said 30 plus the other day, but it's more than that. I think it's 40 or we're in the 40 numbers now. 40 videos being posted. So I will be looking to speak of her in the next 5 to 10 uploads, just for to be accountable there. And Dr. Corson, and we'll talk about that. Let's continue on. Talk about her. Let's continue on with the message, the voice message.
Because if it's 5 hours, no psychiatrist will talk for 5 hours.
Okay, then I stand.
It must be a psychologist.
I stand corrected. Then I thought you was the psychologist.
No, I'm the psychiatrist.
Oh, see, I don't. I stand corrected. I will admit when I'm in the wrong, and I got.
Also, sorry to pause again, a narcissist can never, ever admit when they're in the wrong. Ever. Yeah. But anyway, he's the expert, right? Okay.
Got the roles mixed up. I thought you were the psychologist. And as you've corrected me and educated me on, because I'm a big believer in accountability and introspection, if I'm wrong, I'll say it. I know I make many good points, and I think people are wrong on many things about me and ADHD in general. However, I will admit when I'm wrong, and I will admit where I have done, in order to promote transparency and accountability. So therefore, sorry for that. And you say you're a psychiatrist. Got it. Got it. But my point is, getting back on track here, because I've got all these things that are wearing me out in a good way, in a productive way, right? But it is taking my energy. So therefore, in turn, I'm able to sleep like a baby now. And now, the time, roughly around 11:30, I'm asleep.
Yeah, I see. All right. And your appetite? What's that like at the moment?
My appetite's a lot less due to stress. I'll be honest, I've lost a lot of weight physically from stress, from all the disingenuous and egregious fabricated statements that feed the authorities' own propaganda and narrative about me, and the lifestyle of my mother-in-law. I've lost a lot of weight, and I'm fully intended to sue for compensation to any local authority, just so you're aware. But my appetite used to be good. You can put that in your juice notes, by the way, if you choose to. But my appetite used to be good for all the stress. But lately, no, I haven't eaten. I'm eating very healthy now. I'm eating like carrots. I'm feeling filled up with like less, but I just don't have the appetite. I'm very stressed out, and I've aged a lot. I'm going grey a lot now. I never used to have this much grey, and I can see my hair is just all stressed, as you see. And in the last few months, I look a little older than I did. I'll be honest with you.
Had to get a haircut recently because of that grey and the stress, grey hairs, you know,
So
relating to stress.
yeah, it's really worn me down. My appetite's it's okay, could be better.
So what do you spend the days doing at the moment?
At the moment, I work.
Yes?
Sorry?
What do you work as?
So I'm a coach online, and I teach the importance of parents being emotionally in tune with their child. For example, not throwing the technology in front of the child or children. I teach.
When I say that, I mean in excess, where the child is constantly on the technological devices because it gets to a point where they can't express their suppressed emotions because the parent hasn't they've relied far too much on technology. Does that make sense? And they haven't talked to them about emotions. And I think that this is very important for parents to do.
People how to overcome the narcissistic abusive cycle that I've gone through. I also teach people how to combat the authorities and how to stack up your case diligently, be peaceful and political whilst being respectfully aggressive and doing what's right in your own heart. And so I teach quite a few things online. Yeah.
And how do you teach them? I mean, is it one-to-one? Is it a group? You do YouTube videos?
So, yeah. Right now, I've been doing like organic marketing via like Instagram and Facebook. And how it works is you message people, you go into Facebook groups that is relevant to your niche. So you've got relational, you've got like financial. I'm in the relational category coaching. So mine would be parents and mine would be how to like deepen your bond with your child, right? So I target people on Facebook / Instagram, and I've joined other like Upwork. There's another platform. I'm considering joining LinkedIn as well. I'm considering starting a YouTube channel because my stock is growing and my voice is getting out there. And don't just take my word for it. I'll actually show you something myself, actually. And don't just take my word for it. 1 second. I'm going to show you a testimonial. You can put that in your juicer notes if you wish to.
Insides have impacted my life. Insides have impacted my life.
Hang on.
Parenting insights have.
But a testimonial doesn't really count unless it's one person's
I
Yeah.
struggle with regulating my emotions. After talking with Chris, I learned how important it is to take care of my inner child so that I can better care of my own
I
children.
know, but
I also learned about the harmful
testimonial
effects of
is
too
not
much screen
gonna
time.
really,
Importance
you know,
of
you need
being present.
like a YouTube video with all
Thank you
the
so much, Chris, for
views
having
and
me.
likes. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, I've got plenty of that on my profile, actually. Yeah, but I will get you to YouTube. I'm doing that soon. But I've got plenty of likes for my profile right now. Yeah.
so are you stressed about money at all? Or
No,
is that
Not
big
stressed at
deal?
all. What gave you that idea?
A little.
What gave you that idea? I said. What gave you that idea that I'm stressed about money? Tell me.
No, it's one of the main things that most people are stressed about. So if you take
Okay.
like 100 people, okay, and you ask them what are they stressed about, one of the common things is money. So it's nothing against you. It's just that
Yeah, that's true. For accountability, for myself, that is true.
is one of
And transparency.
life stresses.
Well, this is true. No, of course. I just wanted you to clarify.
Why would you find it weird that I'd ask you about being stressed about money when it's probably number one or number two?
I never said that it was weird. I never used the word weird.
Why would you ask me about that?
Well, let me answer you respectfully. Right. First of all, I never used the word weird. Let's get that right.
I didn't.
Glad it's been voice recorded. Second, I never used.
Why did you ask me that?
That's true.
Okay, this is true. I did, but now let me answer your question. I thought you said weird. Number one.
I never said
two-
weird.
Okay, fair enough. So number two, you said why. Number three. Now I'm going to tell you why. Now the reason for this is I wanted you
let's go back. Hang on.
Ask me that.
Yeah, okay, this is true. I did, but now let me answer your question. I thought you said weird. Number one. Number two. Okay, fair enough.
See, he said I didn't when he said about weird that he didn't, but then you just heard him say, "Why would you think it's weird?" If you recall. So now he's a liar, being exposed as well. It's great, isn't it? Professionals indeed.
Number two, you said why. Number three, now I'm going to tell you why. Now, the reason for this is I wanted you to clarify. I wasn't necessarily per se thinking nor implying that why you targeted me, but although I will admit I wanted you as the professional to clarify. Are you asking me on an individual sense, meaning are you looking at my finances, or do you mean the general sense? You've established general sense, so now let's talk about that. You're right. So in this day and age, first pre-COVID and now cost of living, there is a lot of stress, and we're in the cost of living. I am not stressed about money at all. I'm very fortunate, blessed, and lucky. I'm not saying I'm rich, but I'm comfortable, and I'm very grateful for that. And I'm going to make more money for the right reasons, with dignity, showing the truth, right, of and my talent, of what I can do, the truth about and exposing the authorities for who they really are, right, and how I teach other men, right, how to combat the authority, being a beacon of light to others. So there's many things I teach, and I'm comfortable. I'm not rich, but I'm comfortable.
Yeah, okay. Do you know what one of the concerns by the local authority about your looking after of lost his name now.
Austin Murray.
Austin Murray, yeah.
Yeah.
What are their concerns? I mean,
Haven't
what
they
do
informed you yet? Haven't they indulged you yet?
I want to get it from your. I know what they've written down, okay?
Right.
But I want to get your angle on it.
So you want to get my interpretation / angle on it?
Yeah.
Well, my belief is that. So let's start with the facts before I give you my opinion. Let's start with the facts. Fact number 1. My beards last summer, when it was really long, scratched my son's face.
And that's been proven, not in the last video, that's been proven, I believe, in 2 videos before this one with the social worker. Well, no, sorry, 3 videos, I believe, before this one, 2 or 3. And you saw the social worker about the beards. He came to me to discuss my beards scratching my son's face. What well is this? This is why I'm doing this. To raise awareness on the corruption and the lies, and to help other people with insights. And again, if I can help just one person, if it's just one, I'm happy.
Kissing him. I kissed my son because he had lost his mummy to COVID-19. He was really upset. He was staying with me. He's my son. I showed him love. My beard scratches my son's face. His face goes red. The social services / the authorities come into my life. The case takes nearly a year to shut. I don't know what sick world this is, but this can be proven. This is an opinion. This is facts. Can proven from the school. And the authorities like that my beard scratched my son's face. So you tell me. Let's start with that pause. You ask me why. I think it's sick personally. And I've got my own reasons why I think they want to be so vehemently involved. I can't say I'm right here. Do you know what I think? Do you know what I think the truth is? When you add in my beard scratching my son's face, number 1. 2, being accused of strangulation. When I merely just took my son to the mace, he hurt his neck on the thistles. He was crying. I touched my son's neck just to see the extent of the damage. Apparently, he said that I strangled him, but I've been doing Google research about this. Children say all kinds of things. He was younger then, like he's 6 now. He was 5 then, when I was accused of strangulation. And apparently, children say parents strangled them if they hurt their neck. Like other kids say this. I never did strangle my son. I touched my son's neck after the thistles hurt his neck. That's what I did. I will live and die by this. I even submitted video evidence recently of the mace.
That's to come as well in future uploads for the records.
How dangerous it is with the thistles and how easy it is for a child to injure their neck. Could I have done a better job? Maybe keeping an eye on him, perhaps, but he was playing with his own friends. So I left him to it. And next thing I know, I hear screams. And like I say, his neck went red, the thistles on the maze, and it touched him. And now I've got to go through all these channels of strangulation accusations. Meanwhile, before we get to the most juicy information regarding my thoughts and opinions, I'm going to stick with the facts first. Meanwhile, here's the facts. At Contacts, my son's proven nothing but joy to see his father, playfulness.
And for the records, that has also been proven in previous uploads of this YouTube channel of my son's and his father's journey together at Contact. There was nothing but joy, sincerity, authenticity, purity, truth, love. No. Just continue playing.
Engagement.
Between us. An engagement. Father and son.
Detachment. If he was being abused, I was abused. We've gone over this in the care system. I know for a fact that as an abused person, you'll be flinching, you'll be sitting in the corner by yourself, because I could tell you that much, right? I know for a fact that my child wouldn't be so engaging and playful and always. I'll let contact speak for itself. I won't waste energy here. I'm not going to do your job for you respectfully. But I know for a fact that. So these are the facts. My contact record speaks for itself regarding me and my son's engagement. Okay. The truth's coming out week by week, but regarding me and my son's engagement, how I care for him, the variables of care I put forth towards him, emotional immersion with his education, playfulness, versatile in activity, his diet, I've given him fruit, contact, oranges, and sweets, balanced diet, blah, 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 and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. Again,
In the contact videos previously been showcased on this YouTube channel, you'll see me getting very creative related to the activities. Because what do you do in a confined space to stimulate a child's brain? Especially, he's nearly 7 now, but this was last year when he was nearly, or just after he was 6. It was, so the next month after his 6th birthday, my boy was taken from me last July. So he was like 6, and then 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. And I stopped going to contacts just before, or I should say, just after sorry, I should say just before my birthday, and which was on the 8th of December, and just after November had ended, so early December. I think the last time I saw my child was I think it was like 3 days before my birthday on the 5th of December. So I'm just putting that out there.
Let contact speak for itself. I'll tell you what I think. Now, this is my opinion. Now that the facts out the way. My opinion is that my belief is that the authorities are so vehemently involved is because it would be embarrassing for them to admit that I chose to walk away from the system. I chose to realise a life, know my worth, and realise that there was a life for me outside of what was given to me by the authority and by the system. And my belief is, not saying I'm right, because this is opinion. This is a fact. This is my opinion. But my belief is, and I'll tell you why after I think this, my belief is that it's not good PR. It's not good PR for the authorities, so they're going to revert to my criminal history, so it makes them look satisfactory, right? They don't want to admit that I chose to walk away. I chose to become a man.
Please excuse my sarcasm there.
Yeah, did I have help getting here? Absolutely. Wife's mum took me in. My girlfriend loved me. She wanted a child. I gave that to them, okay? But nevertheless, I had a lot of help. This is true. I commend Maria for doing what she did. I don't have to...
Maria's my mother-in-law / my son's nan.
I won't say I hate her. I understand the reasons why she's done what she's done, lied about me. A, she's living vicariously through my son because she lost her daughter to COVID. B, what's the emotional ties with the exception of my son and daughter? There is none. She's lost her daughter. She wants my son to herself. She doesn't care about me. What's
I meant to say her daughter, but yeah, my wife.
the emotional tie? There is none, right? Think about it, right? C, she's had my son since he was 2.5. Well, why is this? I put the reasons forth behind this to her name. The lady reporting to the courts. Lady who I've recently seen, who has all...
She will be uploaded in future uploads as well, and her disgusting treatment in her disingenuous, false reports. All been voice recorded and documented future uploads.
also been observing recent contact meetings. Now, I was told that I'd have to make a compelling case towards getting my son back. Well, here's 4 main reasons why I gave my son away with love to his nan. Reason number 1, I was an alcoholic back then. I had gone through many deaths, okay? I lost my mum, I lost my father, I lost my wife, I lost my second son, and I lost my mother-in-law's mum. 5 deaths, okay, in very short time. I was an alcoholic. This can be proven. So that's reason number 1. Reason number 2, I don't drive, still to this day. My wife was the driver. I lived in Surrey, in the countryside. Yes, granted, we're around the corner from Tattenham Corner. So there's a station called Tattenham Corner Station. It's near Epsom in Surrey. We're right around the corner where we live. Nevertheless, with a baby, you need a car. It's not like London where you can just hop on the bus or everything's in close proximity. So reason number 2, my son / baby at the time easily would have caught a cold. Because I don't drive. I would have had to gone everywhere. And when the time, right, when it's cold, blah, blah, blah. That's reason number 2, I didn't drive. Reason number 3, he needed a woman, being that he lost his mummy to COVID-19. That's my belief, right? He lost his mum to COVID, he needed a woman. He needed that. He was used to that for 3 years. And my favourite, reason number 4, and I say my favourite because I've been a kid of emotional abuse, is it not emotional abuse to bring a child where his mum was back to the house? And he's going to be like, Mama, Mama, where's Mama? Would that not be emotional abuse? Would that not be emotional neglect? Right? So I gave him away for those 4 key points, right? And that's my compelling case. He was a baby then, but he's not baby anymore. He's boy now. Now he's 6, and the age gap's starting to get unbelievably large. Because on one hand, you've got a 72-year-old lady, elderly woman. On the other hand, you've got a 6-year-old. It's becoming painfully more and more evident week by week by week. She cannot attend his fulfill his physical attend, nor his educational attend. Now, I'm not knocking her. She's 72. She has so much energy. I commend Maria, his nan, for being able to get up in the morning in the school run in winter time. Now, she's fucked me over. I shouldn't swear. So she's for money, for carers allowance. She's done this. That's why I said.
And she gets an £800 carers allowance whilst weaponising my neurodiversity, criminal history, and where I came from against me. Meanwhile, I haven't been charged, and I've said this in previous videos, I haven't been charged in 10 years. I haven't been arrested in a few years, and my record history is clean and spent. But as we all know, your past is always a life sentence, unfortunately. And you're going to hear a lot of, in future uploads, relating to my son's nan from an energetic standpoint, not being able to fulfill my son's physical and educational, emotional needs and attends. And that's what lended itself to me always going to see them in public to ensure that my son was okay. The old court order, they put down I wasn't supposed to go to my mother-in-law's address, which I did, adhere to. And I said this in previous videos, nor to go to inside the school grounds of my son's school, which I've also said additionally in previous videos as well. It's their fault and their problem that they didn't do their job properly and putting more restrictions on the paperwork so that I couldn't find a loophole. That's their own fault. But when I found a loophole and met my son in public, due to their ineptness pertaining towards being very lax in the conditions, literally 2 conditions: not to go inside my mother-in-law's address, and inside the school grounds, right? Didn't mean to swear at my viewers. And not to go inside the school grounds, number 2. So, if I'm such a monster or such a big threat, why wasn't this taken care of initially? Oh, they ensured that this was when I got served with an injunction order and non-molestation order and I'm currently fighting for my son to get him back. I'll save that for future uploads though, for transparency and accountability. But we're going to talk about that as well in future uploads.
I strongly dislike her. However,
Oh, the music
I shouldn't swear. Sorry, for money, for carers allowance, she's done this. That's why I say I strongly dislike her. However, I won't say I hate her. I don't. I strongly dislike her, but I understand the reasons behind why she did what she did, and I love her, and I respect her, and I'll tell you why. She took me in from my past. My girlfriend, yes, wanted to be with me, but it was her mum's house / Maria's house. She let me live there. She developed a boy into a man, and for that I'm eternally grateful. I wouldn't have the house right now. I wouldn't have my work right now had it not been for her. See, I can do what very few can do. This is my secret sauce. I'm able to introspect. I'm able to look at the other viewpoint. I'm able to be accountable myself. Many won't do this. Many will blame shift. Right, everyone accept themselves. Many will just go into victim mode and say, why me, why me? No, I'm able to look at the bigger picture. So now let's talk about, so like my belief, like with the authority, because I say these things, right, going back to the authorities, and you might think it's melodramatic, but I think, well, but hang on, what sick person would involve social services for a year when it's been proven that your beards scratched your son's face? And it took a whole year. There has to be more primitive reasonings behind that. There's got to be like more deeper, you know? So.
But have you read the bundle?
No. Educate me. What's that? Indulge me.
No, you know the bundle about your case.
Oh.
The bundle of papers.
You mean my criminal history?
No. You must have read all of the 500 pages about your case for getting Austin back to your care.
You mean from the contact notes?
No, the contact notes is a separate bundle. There's a whole bundle of papers with your statements, other people's statements, the social workers' reports. It's got loads and loads of stuff.
Okay.
You've read that, have you?
I mean, I've read that I've been accused of murder, which is false.
No, I'm not criticising you.
I've read that I've got schizophrenia. Right?
I'm not saying. Oh.
Do you remember Abigailda? And I said this in previous videos too. She accused me of murder of a minor, false. Having schizophrenia, false. Shotgun offences, false. And having bipolar disorder. I just don't know. I don't understand these people. And that's going to be in future uploads as well of voice recordings of Abigailda. You're going to hear a lot from her. You're also about to hear what this Dr. Bosi character chap is alluding to, the psychiatrist. And this as well, it will be uploaded when I read out my final court evidence following this meeting, which will be uploaded in future videos as well also. You're about to hear him say it's the most incredible thing he's ever heard regarding my son saying that I strangled him. And you're going to hear it from him, and especially when I read out my final court statement in future uploads. So store that in the back of your brain as well. Because the truth's coming out, and I love that about me, not lying. Can you see now, when you're accountable for everything that you do in your life, when you don't lie, liars leave a trail. They panic. I love not lying. I love that about me. Because now you see patterns forging and developing what did I say back then, or what did I say back in that video? Now it's adding up, now it's stacking, now it's compounding. Let's keep playing. You know, the story, we're just getting started, of me and my son, and the truth, and the exposure of the authorities, and my son and his father's interaction at contact, and past videos I've had of my son. We're just getting started with the story. But the truth's coming out in many ways with each and every video, without sounding at the expense of sounding cocky or narcissistic, like I've been accused of. I believe that my authority and credibility is rising because my actions and my words, my actions, sorry, are always, I should say rather, my actions are always reflecting my words with what I say, and my words are always reflecting a pattern of truth with each and every uploads in relation to the voice audios, because I don't lie. And now it's point A to point B to point C to point D to point E. It's all adding up and coming together. Let's keep playing.
God, you haven't read the Bible.
I read shotgun offences, right? Lies, suing. I'm going to sue for money, for damages. Sorry, do I know what now? Okay.
Do you know that there's a bundle? Did you know that?
Yeah, I knew there was a bundle about people's perception of me and their own narrative and their own opinions about
Have
me.
you got a solicitor?
I do.
Has the solicitor not gone through the bundle with you?
Oh, yeah, she has. Yes.
She has.
Yeah.
So she's gone through everything.
Yeah, she's told me what's been said about me and who said what and things like this, yeah.
So, do you know what Austin said about you?
Here we go.
Yes.
What's Austin said about you?
Well, I've heard from my son that he supposedly said that I strangled him.
Yeah.
Is that what you're making reference towards?
Well, there's a few different things he said, yes. There's one bit where he said, you know, Austin informed me on 22nd of April 2024 that he felt very sad that Mr. Murray strangled him, okay?
And we've gone over that. I never strangled my son. He hurt himself on the fistles on the neck. Maybe
So
he
what
thought...
did he think? I'm not saying, okay, I'm absolutely not criticizing you. I'm not against you. I'm nothing.
Got it.
I am absolutely neutral, okay, completely. And I promise.
Okay.
Too bad those promises are just lies. Just like nobody knows more about ADHD than me. You heard it at the start. You heard it, right? What he said. Well, I'm sure that's the truth, right? What a liar.
Why did he say that you strangled him?
Well, I've got two reasons for this. May I elaborate?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Reason number one.
Yeah.
We've gone over. I took my son to the mace. He hurt himself on the thistles. I've been looking online on Google. Children say all kinds of things that parents so-called strangled them when they just touched them. Or like, again, my son's neck went red, the thistles. He was screaming. He was playing with other children. I will live and die by this. He was playing with other children. I'm not going to keep my eyes on my son 24/7. He was playing with other kids. Next thing you know, I heard a big scream. Run up to my son. Neck spreads from the thistles. This is reason number one, by the way. I take him to a part where, away from everybody, because he's screaming. I gently touch and caress his neck to see the extent of the damage. And then he starts screaming and screaming and screaming. So my point is that A, he thought I strangled him because children do say all kinds of things, and I've proven anything but. Consider this. He may have said this is true, but if this was the case, would you want to see his dad? Would you want to see him at contact centre? How would his body language be if I so-called abused him? His body language and his mannerisms, hang on, let me finish. I'll let contact speak for itself. You can do your job there respectfully and ask for records of that, and his body language will say, let me finish, will say anything but, or showcase anything but but an abused child. So my point is, here's my point. Let me finish. My point is, he's either got confused, right? Which a lot of children do. I've done my research, right? That I strangled him when I just merely touched his neck and he screams. That's all. Reason number two, and what I think is more accurate, and I can prove this by way of a video, although I've been encouraged by my solicitors to not submit this evidence. I've shown my solicitors the evidence, okay? But I've been told that if I do show this as evidence, my boy risks going into care. I cannot have that because he's already lost his mum. And
So these are the two videos I uploaded of my son saying, Nana pulled my hair, shoved me out into the winter last cold. Sorry, shoved me out into the cold last winter. I'm sorry. Shoved me out into the cold last winter. Nana pulled my hair. This is a quote to my son. And then, so that's physical abuse. And then, moreover, my son's nan saying, screaming at him, degrading him emotionally and psychologically, saying, and spiritually, you're a terrible boy, you are, terrible you are, horrible boy. If you remember, those are indeed those two videos I'm alluding to, based on, or in relation to the voice recording, based off that point. Let's continue.
For my child. But I've got video evidence which has been submitted to my solicitor of my son saying that Nana pulled his hair last winter, and also she degrading him, screaming at him. By the way, that's behind the mask of a covert narcissist.
Which I believe she is.
Wear a mask in public. Their real colours.
I do believe that my son's nan is a covert narcissist.
Indoors. I got that on camera, on video, sorry, of her degrading and screaming at my son, saying he's a terrible boy, degrading him, just completely, her tone was disgusting, really degrading my child, saying,
and you heard it, my audience heard it in previous uploads.
Terrible you are, horrible boy, you're horrible. And I say, well, I'm horrible ever since I backed off, right? Is that it? And I go, yeah, he's terrible. He used to be good anymore, but now he's not. I'm like, well, he's getting older. He's a boy. And then she'll just be degrading my child. I can prove this. Also, going back towards my son saying my nana pulled his hair, I'll tell you what I think. I think my son's been told to say a lot of things. And out of the video evidence that I have, okay, I think my son's been told to say this out of fear. And I'm going to double down on this right now. I'm going to double down. Yesterday, contacts. I should say before yesterday's contact last week, I, as my son's father, exposed how abysmally bad that my son's educational needs are, his maths in particular. Well, why is this? Last week we did some basic times table. This has been proven in front of the contact service observers, right? Two ladies. It's all been recorded as well for Carolyn, who's the contact service facilitator, as you're aware of, I'm sure. And my point is, he struggled on basic maths times tables. He did. Now, to accentuate the original point of the evidence, my video, and then putting in his head, blah, 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 and my son being told to say things, as well as the aforementioned point of what I've just said. Now, yesterday's contacts. Let's double down on this. Yesterday's contacts. His maths homework, I see, was all done and completed, right? 10 times 2, 3 times 2, all these things. And I asked my son, can we please do homework? He said, no, Dad, I don't want to do homework with you anymore. I'm like, what? You've never said that to your dad before. Why are you saying this? He's never said that to me before, ever. He said this yesterday. No, and then he's saying like, Nana this, Nana that, but Nana said, but then no, don't say this, and he's saying all kinds of things. All right? Now, so I see the math sheet. It's all done, but my dad, the spider tingle senses is going off. And I thought, well, let's see if this is a reality or not. So then I asked him basic questions. You've done this on paper. What's times tables? What's this? What's that? What's that? What's this? Failed, 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 failed. He's not been nourished. He's not been developed. I'm concerned about his education. This was proven yesterday's in contact, further exposing the lies. I should say the ineptness. Lies about me, that I'm not a good father and I don't care, which is bullshit, I do. But lies have been told about me by covert narcissists that have been unravelled, and also her ineptness towards, again, I can't knock her under the bus entirely. What have I proven? Do I just blame shift and throw her under the bus? No, I look at things evenly.
When I say throw under the bus, I mean figuratively speaking, of course. You know, like to drive somebody into the ground, it means, just for people who don't know what that means, that expression.
I validate her feelings, I understand the reasons, I said I love her, I said I respect her. Strongly dislike her for what she did, but I understand the reasons behind it. Going back towards my point, this is why liars, compulsive liars, hate being voice recorded, because you leave a pallid. When there's a trail, you leave a pallid if you lie. My trail's pure. Let me take you back. Do you remember when I said I commend Maria, 72-year-old, getting up in the winter? You remember that, right? For the school runs. And also, if you recall, how much energy does that take out of her? I said this, right? And how much energy is left, right, for my dealing with my son's physical and educational attempts. Those were my exact words. And I said this earlier. And it's been voice recorded, so I know, I don't lie, okay? So my point is, I can't throw Maria under the bus. It means, it's an analogy, it means I can't say that she's bad and afraid because she's an elderly woman. And she is. But it's becoming more evident week by week that my son needs his father.
But you know what? It's incredible, actually.
Here we go. It's incredible, actually. Check this out.
But you know what? It's incredible, actually, because what your son says next, okay, is one of the most amazing things I've ever read, okay? So it goes, Austin informed me, is he talking to the social worker, okay?
Okay.
Austin informed me on 22nd of April 2024
Okay.
that he's sad about Mr. Murray strangling him. He added that the incident happened because Mr. Murray has ADHD and Asperger's. Austin believes that the incident could have been avoided if Mr. Murray took his medication regularly for his mental health.
Oh, and the 6-year-old is really going to know that, right?
Austin states Mr. Murray is a lot calmer when he takes his medication.
Well, that's just comical. I'm just going to laugh at that because I don't think a 6-year-old can compute that information. What do you think?
Why is that written?
Well,
that is the most amazing thing I've ever read in one of these family.
I'm glad that you've put that forth for the records because
it is incredible. I mean, it's
a miracle. A 6-year-old knows all this, right? It's a miracle. Yeah.
Well,
right?
How do you explain it then? How does
Well, I can tell you exactly how I'll explain it, but let's
could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
Okay.
The only thing I think it could be is that. Let's check who's this written by. If it's written by The Guardian.
Oh, man. Okay.
No, it's written by the social worker.
Okay.
Abigailda.
Okay, there was one theory I had.
You're going to hear a lot of her in future uploads as well. Please excuse me and forgive me. Let me just go to the toilet very quick. Let me keep playing this.
By The Guardian.
Yeah.
And The Guardian's puts Austin's views, they put their views through Austin. You see?
Yeah.
They had written it.
Got it.
Like it says this.
Indeed.
But it said his.
Oh.
But it isn't written by The Guardian, it's written by the social worker.
Okay.
So, what do you think's going on there?
Well, I can tell you exactly what I think's going on. Do you want to hear it?
Well,
Well, again, going back to, without sounding cocky, to my point, remember when I gave you 2 examples? The first reason is, this is why I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love telling the truth. And I love being accountable. Because I'm in the minority and this is my secret sauce. This is how I'm going to win my child back. Because liars, compulsive lies especially, they leave a trail. They leave a trail of lies. So they don't like it. It makes them uncomfortable. Because I don't lie, I tell the truth. Let's think back. Let's look at the pattern here. Hang on. Let's look at the pattern. Do you remember when I said 2 things? Reason number 1. This is about 10 minutes ago. At the maze, I think he could have hurt himself on the thistles. And when he was playing with his friends. Could I have done a better job and be my son's eyes? Perhaps, but I left him to it because he was with his friends. Then I heard screaming. I took him away to the quiet area. And then his neck was red. I gently touched his neck and caressed it, just very soft, to see the extent of the damage. He screamed, he screamed, he screamed. So I put that forth. Reason number 1, he could have got confused. And again, if you recall, I did my Google research. Children, young as 5, they do think they've been strangled, even if they've just been unintentionally hurt. This is not opinion, this is fact. This is online, this is on Google. So
how did it, was it the maternal grand?
Right, let me finish. That was reason number 1. Reason number 2, if you recall, the second reason I gave was I believe that my son was told to say certain things. Why do I proclaim this? Why do I say this? And what you just said stamps it even more. First, let's start with my point. About, the video that I have of my son saying that Nana pulled his hair last winter, shoved him into the cold, his nan degrading him, saying he's a horrible boy. I think my son's living in fear, and I think my son's being told to say certain things. You just clarified that with your point. Not in those words.
Did he remember all of that, though? Say he was told to say, I think my dad suffers with Asperger's and ADHD and he should take his medication. Now, if I told a really clever 6-year-old that, and I don't know whether they'd be able to repeat it, exactly.
Okay.
You think he'd be able to remember it?
You're the professional. I don't think.
I don't know your son. You know your son better than me.
Okay. Well, I don't think a 6-year-old, unless they're spoon-fed that and told to say it over and over and over and over and over again to the depths. And I'm so glad I'm voice recording this. I voice record everything, right? So I'm protected. So just for the record, this has all been proven. Your words. You said that my son said that I had ADHD. I would not have strangled him, quote unquote, strangled him, had I taken my medication. Would a 6-year-old really think of this by himself? Come on, man. You're a professional, But my opinion is, I think it's absolutely sick. I think it's vile that he's been told to say this. For me, it's evident that he's been told to say this. Am I 100% sure? Nothing in life's a guarantee. I'm 99.9999% sure that Maria's told him to say this, especially when you consider she wanted to be special guardian. I refused because I would have no power over my son's decision making, right? And then she played dirty, got my son, and has got a lovely carer's allowance now. So it's transactional.
Of £800 a month.
Relationships, they're all transactional.
Of £800 a month.
Dirty, got my son.
Gotta get that. You gotta get that money, man. £800 a month.
Has got a lovely
bit of humour. I'm sorry, I have to do a bit of humour there. Sorry.
carer's allowance now. So it's transactional.
For my sanity.
Narcissistic relationships, they're all transactional.
Narcissistic relationships. They don't.
They treat their children as pets. Okay? They're all showing no.
They do. Narcissists, they do treat their children as pets. And they are transactional. They are.
They're all show and no go. They don't develop their child emotionally. They don't, and it's becoming increasingly evident week by week at contact. People, they're starting to wake up now. Slowly, it's getting there. But I've gone through many, many months, years, a year and a half. First, my beard scratching my son's face going red. Case taking a year to shower. Then accused of strangulation, right? And then his nan saying what I believe is to. How is a 6-year-old going to otherwise? I don't know. You're a professional. You tell me. Do you know what? I'm going to get some water because, like, I'm in disbelief right now. I'm a bit stressed out right now because it's more and more evident Maria's been told to say this, and I cannot fathom how you cannot see us as a professional. Let me just get some water. Hang on.
Do I have a right to feel that way? Some of you might agree, some might disagree. I think I do. From what you heard. And I was stressed out. I was. Let me fast forward a bit till I come back in the room.
I'm just on a meeting with psychology. You know sure?
That was my my friend's son. Bless him. I asked him if he needed anything when my friends and her son were living here. Oh God, man.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. What I'd like to do is, right, because maybe this will help you understand me a bit better, right? Now, I've sent this to the current social worker as well as the previous social worker, Claire Blackadder, Abigail Doe, right? Emily Clark, my solicitors and Austin School. And I want you to hear this because this is going to reveal to you a lot about me. Right. Hello, so it's my intention to sue the authorities. Hello, Emily Clark. Please note my intention to sue the Ealing local authorities for damages done to me and my son, which include the following. Precious time lost between my son and I, and being observed like a freak by multiple contact supervisors. Number 2, the authorities failing to see my son's physical and educational needs not being met by a 72-year-old nan, Maria Stankovic, his development in these areas. Number 3, my son acting very depressed at recent contact meetings and looking lost without his father. He has already lost his mum with COVID-19, as you are obviously aware of. Number 4, the amount of work and money that I have lost in nearly 2 years, as I have put my son first by relentlessly fighting for Austin Murray. Number 5, myself becoming very physically ill lately due to all the stress it's caused me and weight loss. Number 6, you, Emily Clark and Abigail Doe alike, not doing your job by treating me fairly and letting me know what is going on with my son regarding your own intentions, in other words, keeping me in the dark. Number 7, you and Abigail Doe constantly gaslighting and ghosting me to the point where I suffer from heavy anxiety, not telling me what's going on with my own son. Number 8, being accused by the LA, that's short for local authority, of having schizophrenia, false. Being accused of committing murder, false. Being accused of shotgun offences, false. My beard scratching my son's face last summer and the original case taking a whole year to close, number 11. Number 12, being accused of strangulation, false. And yes, my son apparently did say this, but I just touched my son's neck after all of the reddening done to his neck from the pistols and the mace, so even my son got confused and thought that I strangled him once I gently touched his neck to see the extent of the damage. Or I think personally how I feel, especially in relation to how Maria has recently got a lovely carer's allowance that my son was told to say despite his
of £800 a month. Lovely carer's allowance of £800 a month. Transactional.
man, and my son said it out of fear following Maria actually abused him by pulling his hair last winter / shoving my
Which is, again, as a memory rehash, has been proven in previous videos.
into the cold from the coffee shop last winter. Video evidence was submitted here regarding this truth to my solicitor. Number 13, disgusting attitudes by the local authority, which has been proven with my voice recordings, and I have many of them, over a year plus, and firms who I have been in talks and with have said that they find it deplorable and absolutely vile of the LA's local authorities' treatment and disgusting attitude towards me. And number 14, last one, being informed last week I will miss my birthday and Christmas with my son, Austin Murray. I have been talking to a few firms, and I'm told that I have a very good chance of suing for damages done to my son and myself here. Being constantly gaslighted and my disgusting treatment by the union local authorities has had a bittersweet result for me. I have learnt much about myself. I have had to learn to play the political game and to not act out emotionally. But I have reached my breaking point now, because week by week it's becoming increasingly evident that my son needs his dad. Whether that's because his nan has not bothered to do his homework correctly, brackets, I have done homework with my son at contact. He is not doing well here overall, and Maria has been exposed in this particular department, not brackets. Moreover, my son's physical attempts are not being met. How could they be by a 72-year-old? Next January in family court, things need to change for my son's sake. And most crucially and critically, my son, Austin Murray, has displayed nothing but constant love and playfulness with his dad. And all contact sessions will reflect this.
All been proven on the YouTube channel as well in previous videos as a memory rehash.
Truth here, as well as that of making a conscious, deliberate, determined effort with an intense emphasis to ensure that I'm helping out my son with his homework. Moreover, Austin has the choice to see his dad. If I strangled
Which he does.
my son,
He does.
would he want to? Of course not. He would be in fear and want nothing to do with Dada. This has been exposed by way of a timeline with the aforementioned points at contact dating back months ago. I am also going to send you a video that I took of the maze last weekend, and you will see for yourself that A, it's very easy for a child to hurt themselves in the thistles in the maze, and B, an eye infection that I had after being made very physically ill last week due to stress. My eyes back to normal as of yesterday. This was sent a few days ago. I shall forward you this video to your WhatsApp for this very email. Finally, I require all reports said about me by Abigail Doe and yourself, Emily Clark, so that I can prove the tyrannical behaviour by the Union local authorities' poor behaviour and judgment, and keep you all accountable for your egregious and disingenuous fabricated statements made about me. Moreover, no evidence, you've got to catch this one as a psychiatrist, moreover, no evidence of marks were reported to my son's neck in regards towards the deplorable accusations made about me, struggling my son. And I'm going to keep you, as promised, the Ely local authorities accountable, in addition to the other points of this particular point, especially I will. This message shall also be forwarded to Claire Blackkeller, Abigail Doe, my son's school, and my solicitors for my son's and his father's protection. Kindest regards, Christopher Mike, Austin Murray's father. So, I'm still waiting for the reports, for the marks, so-called marks. Abigail, she said I had schizophrenia. She said I had done murder. She said I had done shotgun offences. All false. She got this part right at least. That pathetic excuse of a human being. She got this part right. There were no marks reported to my son's neck.
And to this day, there's still been no marks reported. And following trial, family court, and I represented myself over a grueling consecutive 3-day trial period. I had to sit there and be cross-examined and take it and take it and take it with all their sick accusations, them intentionally and deliberately trying to provoke me. I had to sit there and take it. And I won't do it in this life, but in the next life, in part 2, I'm going to go over something as well, which will provide some valuable insights to other parents relating to getting inside their sick and twisted minds as to how they try and provoke you. But I had to sit there, that's in the next live, yeah? But I had to sit there and be cross examined by so many people, and I did it. And not only did I hang with the authority, I even embarrassed them at certain times, and I managed to wrestle certain things back. Case in point, I'm able to see my son at a contact centre for his 7th birthday. It has to be supervised, but I got that in my favour at least, as well as inconclusive evidence, no evidence of strangulation marks to my son's neck, because it never happens.
I'm still waiting for that. But yeah, the police were called the next day. Well, why is that?
I'm still waiting for that, meaning the reports of marks, which there were none.
Maria panicked. She realised she fucked up. I'm still waiting for marks to be reported to my son's neck, by the way. So.
Okay.
Ha ha he he. Yeah. Got it.
I don't think the being. Interesting. Okay.
Okay.
So at the moment, do you feel? What's your opinion about things? Do you think you suffer with any mental health problems?
I think I've got ADHD. Actually, let me rephrase that.
ADHD, because
Yeah.
you said yourself, you know everything about ADHD.
I never said I know everything about ADHD.
See how he lies? I never said I know everything about ADHD. He said he knows everything about ADHD, or more specifically, no one knows about ADHD more than me at the start of this voice audio. Can you see now? Another layer to my credibility stacking up. Let's continue playing.
I said I know myself from having the condition, really.
That's what I said.
Everyone else seems to get it wrong. So what would be the main things that you would experience if you had ADHD?
So let's start with this.
Clown.
First of all, correct myself.
What?
I don't think I have ADHD.
Clown.
I know I have ADHD.
He is.
Not just from being diagnosed with it, but also from the behavioural traits that ADHD carries.
Right. So what are the behavioural traits that you've got at the moment of ADHD?
Well, respectfully, if you'd let me finish, I'll tell you.
Yes.
Respectfully. So can I elaborate? Can I finish? Thank you. So the behavioural traits that I have, to answer your question, is I can be like, well, I am very quick, high energy. I'm able to get a lot done in a short time because I'm fast, I'm quick. That's just ADHD personified. You have a lot of energy. That's ADHD. Another is I can, and I'm working on improving this, to say more, like to listen more, and to realise and try my best not to interrupt others. And I think that overall I've done that with you. I haven't interrupted you, but you've interrupted me many occasions, which has been recorded. I tried to let you finish. I might have.
That's not entirely true in order to promote transparency and accountability for myself. Maybe I did interrupt at times, but I made a conscious, deliberate, determined effort to not interrupt him and let him speak. He interrupted me so many times.
Interrupt you once or twice over a nearly 2-hour meeting now, but I always try.
Maybe it was a little bit more, but he interrupted me so many more times to be accountable.
To listen more, because I'm aware of my weaknesses, and one of them is impulsivity.
Impulsivity right now, right? But also kindly consider I was very emotional back then as well, lending itself to impulsivity, and you know, I was in a very big emotional state. Please understand that because of the situation, yeah. It's a fucked up situation. It's proven.
It means that like you feel the need to always be heard, or you're talking fast. And that's another thing. Because I get very hyper, this is true, in order to promote transparency and accountability. Yes, I do get a bit hyper, but I'm in control of my hyperactivity. I'm realizing that through meditation, through learning to dictate the pace, learning the art of pausing, right, to slow your mind down, that it's manageable. So, these are a few examples I can put forth to you.
Yeah.
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 And how do you think it affects you in your life?
Well,
On a day-to-day basis, I mean, do you, with cooking food or laundry?
oh, I'm perfectly fine with cooking foods. You know, I'm perfectly fine at doing my laundry. I'm very good at doing chores, you know, house chores.
I should also say we've gone way over what I said, and I apologise for this. I've been so immersed into this recording, but I do feel that it was perhaps needed to be put forth. We're going to go soon. We're 1 hour 43 minutes into it out of a 2 hour and 20 minutes voice recording. I'm waiting for the part where he says narcissistic to bury this clown, figuratively speaking, coinciding with the description if you want the entire truth. Shouldn't be much longer.
Yeah, I'm good at managing day-to-day life.
Yeah. Okay, and then with your previous forensic history,
Okay.
I mean, I've a lot of notes,
Okay.
which really, I mean, there might be something I've missed that gives everything away, but most of the stuff that I've been reading hasn't been very informative at all. You know, it's been about you having fights with fellow, you know, people in the hostel, or, you know, doing something like, you know, it hasn't really given any. But
Yeah,
is
it's,
there,
no,
like
sorry,
a-
go on. I'm interrupting you. I'm sorry. Go on. After you. After
Yeah.
you. Sorry.
could you give any? Because there seem to be a lot of different things. Okay, over a certain amount of time. You know, there's theft, sexual offences, offence against a person. I mean, have you got? Were you just in with the wrong?
So he's saying certain offences. When he says certain offences, he means like thefts. He means violence. You know, he means a whole range of things. And I did a lot of bad things under the supported accommodation system umbrella. I did. You know, like certain section categories of offences. But living with madness, it does that to you, you see, all these issues.
Proud. What I'm trying to get at is there anything underlying that you can say that have caused
Well,
kind of a?
you've been told very vague information about me. Now I'm going to give you the why. So, in these places, you're thrown all together. What I mean by that, you're living with people.
Yeah, I looked after forensic hostels for more than 20 years, so I know all about what happens in those kind of places. Was it a forensic hostel that you were in?
But respectfully, you interrupted me and didn't let me finish.
Yeah.
I'd like to finish, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, with respect to these illnesses, I was living with all kinds of issues. Schizophrenia, borderline personality disorders, heroin addicts, crack addicts, alcoholics. I couldn't identify with any of these people at that time of my life existence. What does that mean? That means that when you just have a moderate issue with mental health in particular, and you're living with severe, heavy problems, you see some disturbing things that make you worse, that fuck you up, right? I'll give you an example. To this day, I'm still scarred by this. This is one of the people that I was living with, and I want you to look at me here while I reenact who I was living with. I can do the exact same crazy euphoric look as well. 3, 2, 1.
I won't do.
Hello, help me, please. Hello, hello. That's an example of one of the people who I was living with. What's my point? Well, unless you're a stupid idiot, if you cannot see how a moderate person, in general terms, not you specifically, in general terms, unless one, let me rephrase that, unless one or a person is a stupid idiot, how can you not see, if you just have a moderate problem being ADHD, how can you not see that living with people like that, living with heroin addicts, all hours of the night crying for their next fix, how can you not see that I will not go off the rails? How can you not see anger? How can you not see all the crimes? Yes, it took me a long time, and I've gone on record stating this about my,
You know, I've gone on record by saying that I'm very, you know, disappointed in how I was and conducted myself. I am, you know, I'm very ashamed of what I did. But again, you live with madness. I'm telling you, man. You're in the psychological warfare of your minds. You are. But every day and everywhere I try and get better. And now I'm in a peaceful environment, being my home. Again, my record spent.
That is a very uncomfortable thing, energy speaking, for a woman to feel.
You know, it is. I was very uncomfortable in my energy. Men were afraid of me, let alone women too. And I've gone through many lies told about me due to making others uncomfortable, you know, because of my mind being so fucked up. I'm not trying to make excuses here, but I was in a very bad place then, really. So
State of my paranoia, because I was paranoid, because I've all these forced issues, heroin addicts, crack addicts, alcoholics, schizophrenia. It was messing me up. It was fucking me up. I'll be honest, and I was paranoid a bit. And all these nervous energy is the cause.
yeah, you know, nervous energy. I had a lot of that. I did. Still to this day, I'm recovering from nervousness and anxiety, PTSD, especially with what's been going on with the situation.
I'm going to call you up there. Point number 2.
Sorry, let me read.
I'm going to say respectfully. Have you noticed my wording? I said respectfully. You're interrupting me. Let me finish. How is that with a narcissist saying?
Oh, here we go.
I try to be respectful. Of being a carbon copy like everybody.
The way I have got to go through a lot of stuff. I mean, I think that some of the things that you've said could be very true. Okay.
Okay.
The way you say them doesn't do you any favors. That's all I can say. Okay.
Well, that's just who I am. I've always been. You see, it might not fit the molds. It might not fit the narrative of being a carbon copy like everybody else and being fake. That's not me. I speak from the heart, and that's why people see me as a threat. I speak from the heart. I speak from the soul. Maybe I can come across this. I try to be respectful, but it needs to be reciprocated. If I feel like I'm being interrupted a lot, I'm going to say have you noticed my wording? I said respectfully. You're interrupting me. Let me finish. How is that? Would a narcissist say that? Let's be real. That's point number 1. I'm going to call you out there. Point number 2. Hang on. Let's be real. Let's be real. You're telling me to go all into my past, reenacting times of when I had trouble in children's homes, foster places. We've discussed abuse, all these things. We discussed me living with heroin addicts. We discussed me being accused of murder, being accused of having schizophrenia. I failed to understand how you cannot see why I'll be a little bit irritated.
Yeah, but there's a difference between irritated and, um, what you're coming across as.
So be specific. So tell me. Tell me, how am I coming across? Too truthful? What?
No, it's appropriate if you're down with people having a pint in a pub or something.
Sure.
Then it would be, there's nothing wrong. It's actually quite a good.
Right.
It's actually a bit of. It's one of the ways that ADHD can present. Okay, it's this way that you're presenting, and it's it's being. I mean, it's the do. You see, you said it yourself, where you say things. I haven't got the English for it. It's kind of
Okay.
It's defensive. Okay, there is a thing when you get these cases. You've got to remember. So everybody is in the same boat as you. Okay, it's an adversarial system, right? So they want each team. You've got your own legal team, they've got their legal team, and they're fighting each other.
Yeah.
And what happens is that I agree, they've made lots of mistakes. Like, there's absolutely no way you've got schizophrenia. Okay?
And murder and shotgun offences, and I'm not supposed to be and I'm not supposed to be defensive, right?
You're right.
Okay.
You can say
Okay.
it in a different way.
I'm not supposed to be defensive or sarcastic based on how I've been treated. Got it.
You can say exactly what you've said.
Okay.
In a far more, and it comes across.
I don't care how it comes across. It comes across to me that what I'd be deplorable, being accused of murder. I don't care how I come across. I'm speaking my heart. I'm speaking my soul. I'm being accused of murder, having schizophrenia. Your words. I don't have schizophrenia. What the F? So excuse me, sorry, not sorry, for coming across that doesn't fit the status quo on how I'm supposed to behave. Because if I act that way, that's sending a message that everything's okay. No, it's not okay. It's not okay to be said you have schizophrenia. It's not okay to be said you have murder. It's not okay for all the lies told.
But it's the way that you say it's not okay.
Well, that's how I feel. And I will always speak how I feel.
What? You can totally. It doesn't affect me at all.
Yeah.
I was trying to say it to help you, okay?
And I appreciate that. I do appreciate your inputs.
I'm not too worried, either way. I just do my report. I say...
You do what you gotta do,
You've been very... actually, I think you were very honest about the way...
I am.
Your girlfriend as well and things.
I'm very honest. I don't lie. I like the authorities. I don't lie.
How did you get the mother of Austin? How do you meet her?
I met her at, have you heard of Meetup?
No.
So Meetup, I'll tell you the origins behind Meetup. There's a website called meetup.com, and it started in 2002. Sorry, I should say 2001, with the Twin Towers getting knocked down. And anyway, it started out in the States. And it was designed to bring people together through a disastrous situation, being the Twin Towers being knocked down. So what does that mean exactly? Well, nowadays, there's all these apps, and now it's not impressive. 20 years ago, it most certainly was impressive. So how it works, meetup.com is a platform, still to this day going strong 20 years later, where people, they'll put their interests down. It could be going out, it could be walking, it could be going to pubs or clubs, it could be dancing, it could be pantomimes, it could be anything. And what these people would do, they'll put their interest down, and they would find, or the platform, the algorithm, how it works, would find interest based on what the person's put. Are you with me? And therefore, when an event turns up, that said person putting their interest forth will meet other people going through the same event. So to answer your question, now I've explained how the platform works, which is important because you want me me to answer your question. Now it's going to make sense to you. So I met my girlfriends at a meetup, as I've explained it, and it was a bar meetup, right? I forgot the area location, but it was a meetup at a bar, and we just met and we really connected. We connected really well, and then next thing you know, at the time I was staying in my last ever hostel before I chose to walk away. I chose to take a chance on myself. I chose to become a man. I had help from Maria. This is true. This is why liars, compulsive liars, hate patterns. I tell the truth. Look at the pattern. Remember I said I strongly dislike her, but I love her and I respect her because she took me in. She made a boy a man. She kept, she's done me wrong. She's mean. She's done a lot of bad things to me, but she made a boy a man based on my sheltered life and been babied my entire life by the system. For that, I will always love her and I will always respect her. Don't have to like her, but I understand. So that's my accountability. That's my truth. You can say what you like. I don't care. I know my heart and my soul's in the right place. I don't lie. Okay. Now let's continue on. So at the time, I was staying in the hostel just before moving in with my girlfriends, right? Future wife, girlfriend. And she came on date number 2, if you will. She came to my hostel, and then
I did tell a lie in this video, though. I do apologise because we're 2 hours 40 minutes in, and there's literally 20 minutes left of the voice recording. May as well finish it. So I apologise for lying here, but I've been very emotionally immersed in it. So I want to tell the truth. Let me go to the toilet.
She stayed overnight, right? Shit. I shouldn't have done that, so I snuck her in, to be fair, because it's a hostel, but I snuck her in and she stayed the night and cooked dinner and breakfast. Met a few more times, and then I went on a date close to where I live now. I live in Hamwell, which is near Ealing Broadway. We went on a date in Ealing Broadway. So, yeah, and then next thing you know, I move in with her and her mum. And that's how we met.
Hang on a second. Just need to ask one question because I've got to go. You can imagine it's been like, I've forgotten. I probably asked you before, and forgive me.
It's okay.
Well, I've forgotten. When was the last time you took any illegal drugs?
I don't do drugs.
Ever? So you've never taken any drugs in your life ever?
I haven't taken drugs for quite some time. You mean the last...
Like, when was the last time?
Oh, my apologies. Do you mean, just to clarify, do you mean legally or illegally, or both?
So, I mean, like, illegal. So, taking speed would count as illegal if it was, even though you've got ADHD.
So the last time I took drugs was weed, and that would have been over a year ago. And in terms of alcohol, which is considered a drug, right? I haven't touched alcohol, which has been proven. I've completed my hair strand test, passed. I've been doing meetings with Elaine, and
I had to do a hair strand test, and I passed that. Yeah. That was over a year ago now.
She observed my first, that she was reported to the courts.
Oh yeah, you haven't drunk alcohol for how long?
And so passed there. Drugs and alcohol.
Oh, and I've been off alcohol over 2 years now. April the 30th was 2 years. So I'm very happy and grateful for that. 2 years, over 2 years sober.
Oh, in terms of alcohol and drugs, I have not touched that for a year and 5 months now. April the 30th last year I quit.
At the time this meeting was conducted, this would have been 9 months ago, I think. Yeah, 9 months ago. Time flies. So that's why you heard it back then. Now it's, over 2 years. April 30th, I quit. 2024. Sorry, 2023. I quit April 2023. April 30th, 2023. Over 2 years.
Alcohol and drugs.
Yeah, and guess who I did it for? Can you guess?
No.
Well, in addition, other than myself, can you guess?
Austin.
Correct. That's who I did it for.
Oh.
Yes. Matter of fact, I've got something to show you. 1 second. I'm going to show you something. Hey, man. Do you need anything?
Oh, that was my friend's son.
Maybe it's that. Right, anyway, this is a certificate, completion of the rice, alcohol, right? So I've been clean, got a certificate as proof. And I've been clean for a year and 5 months, April the 30th. And again, like I did the hair strand test, passed. I saw Elaine, who's representing the courts. Come across really well with her, with factual information, telling the truth, not lying, revealing truth bombs, passed. Elaine observed my contact. The local authority are panicking now. I can see the mannerisms, the demeanour, the body language, the facial expressions, the eyes. In a panicked state, you know why? Because ever since being observed by Elaine reporting to the courts, they realised that they fucked up. I may come across quotes narcissistic, and you might be making reference towards my sarcasm, or maybe speaking a bit loudly, or being a bit too intense with my passion. But I would flip that and say, excuse my language, I've got every fucking right to be when I've been accused of murder, having schizophrenia, based on my background, all the abuse I went through. I'm able to introspect and not blame, unlike others. I'm able to see the other viewpoint as proven. My beard scratching my son's face. You say I'm narcissistic? Really? My beard scratched my son's face and the case takes nearly a year to shut. So, and then strangulation now? What? What sick world is this? So you could say narcissistic. I say it's passion. I say it's truth bombs. I say that as God as my witness, because I'm a Christian. This isn't me talking to you right now. The old me couldn't do this. This is God's, right? But I will never be a fake bitch to anybody. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be real. This is why I'm winning this case. Yes, people say you're making your life more difficult. You're making your life more difficult. How you're acting. How should I act? Should I pretend everything's fine and be in a calm state when I've been accused of everything I've been accused of? No, to me that's showing that everything's okay. It's not okay. It's not. And I have my integrity intact, knowing that I'm going to win this, and I am going to win this, right? And I've got my integrity by not being fake. I'm real.
Yeah. Do you, were you diagnosed with Asperger's as well?
This is correct.
And when was that?
I mean,
Roughly.
roughly like 2014, I would say.
Yeah.
Roughly. Yeah.
Yeah. What I might have to do, I mean, if I can't find those
Okay.
assessments, okay,
Sure.
then I might have to send you some questionnaires to fill in, okay? I mean,
That's fine. No problem.
you know, as you would very much know, the actual questions they ask in the ADHD one doesn't bear much resemblance to what people with adult ADHD actually present. But
Okay.
I'm not going to go through all of the things if you've been assessed already and diagnosed.
So, what are you saying
If
about?
I can't find it.
Are you saying that, like with ADHD, I'm not presenting myself as someone with typical ADHD? What are you saying?
No, you are presenting as one of the types
Okay.
that people with ADHD can present in lots of different ways.
This is true.
The thing that is very unusual about you, but there are some people who've got this, especially the adults who've been diagnosed in childhood,
Yeah.
hate the idea of taking medication. The ones who get diagnosed in adulthood, 95% are very keen to at least try medication. So if you're, doesn't mean that you don't have ADHD, okay? But you're very unusual in not even wanting to try. You know, I've had multi-millionaires, as I said, comedians on TV, you know, people who are so successful that would blow your mind, and they're desperate to at least try ADHD medication, okay? So you're just unusual in that.
But hang on, let me chime in here. Hang on. Let me chime in here. Remember earlier on when we talked about, that might be true to a certain proportion of an audience with ADHD. Then there's another part of the audience with ADHD or
He mentions 95%. A lot of people I speak with and to who I know have ADHD, tell them that. That's all I'm saying. This guy, I don't take him seriously.
Category, or however you want to phrase it as, individuals who have the condition that believe in more holistic measures. And I would respectfully correct you here, because, and I'll tell you why, and I can prove it. If you need me to prove it to you, I can. I'm a part of an ADHD support group, okay? I attend there every Monday, okay, and every Thursday. Now, I will correct you.
But I'll explain something.
Hang on, let me finish.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing.
You never let me finish. So these people there, it's divided. Some people, like you, say, yes, they do believe in medication. This is true. However, there's another part of the audience that are, like me, very against it. It's subjective, my friends. It's individualistic.
I absolutely
And it comes down to the characteristic of personality.
Okay, but
Yeah.
you say yourself, okay, let's see if you can get this. Why is it that nearly all of the people that I'm seeing are very keen on medication?
I have no idea. Maybe it's a coincidence or maybe it's something else. I don't know.
Okay. So mainly it's because I'm seeing people at times of crisis. They've just, you know, they're in remand for having committed a crime.
Okay.
They're in child custody case.
Okay.
It has dawned on them that their ADHD has got them into a bad situation, okay? So the people at your support group are not necessarily the ones who are very, oh yeah, I can cope with this all by myself, I can do that.
Okay.
They haven't got, they may never even come to it. But on the other hand, when you see people privately, the only reason somebody's going to see you privately is to get prescribed medication. So all of those people are going to want to go on medication as well. So
well, it's divided. That's just a fact. Maybe in your case this is true. That's not to say that it might be who you've seen personally. Doesn't make it a reality to everybody else. Because it's very common for individuals to not like medication and, you know, to be holistic.
Absolutely.
And moreover,
He admits it.
And moreover, I'm going to take a guess here and say you don't have ADHD. Am I right? You don't have it, correct?
You're wrong.
You do have it?
Yes.
Okay, then...
I'll show you the medication if you want.
Okay, then I apologise. I made
Why would I know more about ADHD than anyone else? In fact, I was the first person, one of the first people to be diagnosed in the whole of the UK in 2006.
Okay.
As an adult, okay, not as a child.
Why would anyone know about ADHD more than me? He says I'm a narcissist. Just because you're one of the first, if that is true, could be, but just because he's one of the first, does that make him the most knowledgeable? That's narcissism. Him calling me this or insinuating I'm a narcissist, I think that's projection.
Just because you were the first to be diagnosed doesn't make you know everything.
And a psychiatrist? You wouldn't be interested in knowing about it?
I mean, I'm not negating. I'm not negating your willingness to learn, but let me tell you something. I don't listen to theorists because any person can learn by reading and memorizing. You have the condition. This is true, and so you do have some credibility. Had you had said you don't have ADHD, you'll just be another theorist who's learnt it from a book without having gone through it. Because the people who are the best teachers are the ones who are mentally going through a condition or an experience. How do you think I'm so successful as a coach? I'm able to teach my experiences in this new education era. It's gone out of CV, it's gone as this, gone as that. People, it's called the knowledge industry. People want to compress decades or years, and you teach them, how to learn from the mistakes that you made, and you teach them how to not do the mistakes you made. So it's coaching them in areas we've discussed about what I do. My point is, here's my point. Whether it's experiences, whether it's mental health, alike, the best teachers are the ones who have it, or have gone through the experience, or has the mental health condition, isn't it so? That's why I asked you. I was asking you, and fair enough. In order to promote accountability, I made an assumption and assumed you didn't have it. Had you said you didn't have it, you would have just been another theorist. But the fact that you say you have it, yes, you're correct. You have it, and you're a psychiatrist. However, just because you're the first person to be diagnosed doesn't mean you know everything. It doesn't. Let me accentuate my point. So, on the MELOP group, on the ADHD support group, right? Now, and I don't mean disrespect. I'm just saying my honest opinion, right? You know a lot. You were the first to be diagnosed. Doesn't make you the king, be all F. I'm sorry.
He claims.
But I'm just saying my heart and soul here, But going back to the ADHD support group, right? They study medication. They call it evidence-based ADHD. So it's evidence-based, and the support groups dubbed as such, right? Evidence-based ADHD support group. They've done studies on medication. They've done the harmful effects of what medication entails. There's positive effects, but because it's a drug, there's also side effects, and so there's some debilitating side effects at that. This is why many people, including myself, prefer more holistic ways. Now, again, it's individualistic. It depends on the personality of the character, right? But I prefer holistic.
But how can you know if you haven't tried it? You might not get any side effects at all.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
Can I be very honest with you?
Yeah.
And this is going to explain why my attitude's funny and why I've got a problem, and I've always had a problem with the authorities. Well, look. First of all, let's start with what I mentioned to you about children's homes and foster places.
Hang on, I've only got 3 minutes.
Okay, so let me get to the point then. So going towards medication, do you realise how many times in these supported accommodation places where the staff are supposedly caring for you, do you realise how many times I've been given the wrong medication, and how it's made me become severely ill?
Add up, because you've been giving the medication to yourself, so why would you give yourself the wrong medication?
No, staff have given me the medication.
Yes, I know.
So therefore it affected my trust, and it turned me off from medication, because I was given many wrong types of medication.
I don't buy that, because you'd be giving yourself the medication. So even if staff have given you the wrong medication, doesn't mean that you're going to get... basically...
I was given the wrong medication on many instances, and it made me very ill. So I respectfully disagree.
If you didn't get on with it, you wouldn't take it. You would not take it if you... It's not like antipsychotic medication is given to people who don't take it, okay? Don't think it helps them, They get lots of side effects, okay? With ADHD medication, nobody is going to force anyone to take it.
You said it yourself, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. You've got 3 minutes now, you've probably got 2 minutes. Let me get to the point. Sorry to interrupt you. I've heard that Ritalin, and I apologise, but you've got limited time. You said it. But I've heard that Ritalin targets ADHD, correct? Isn't that a good go-to?
Doesn't work for everyone. So it is the first or second choice.
Well, what would you recommend then? Let's just say I had a change of heart and I were to try medication. What would you suggest?
You try what the doctor recommends. If it doesn't work, don't take it and switch to another one. But if you don't try, you won't know.
I'll be open to trying something as long as there are no harmful side effects and it wasn't making me worse.
No,
My trust is destroyed from the many types of medication I was given by authority, and it made me very, very ill, and I carry that scar with me. I'll be open under the right care. If somebody knew what they were doing and gave me the right medication, I'll be open towards trying it. But somebody needs to know what they're talking about.
But nobody knows what. No one can predict what side effects you would get, and most people don't get any.
Okay. Well, we've got a minute left because you said 3 minutes, 2 minutes ago.
Most people don't get any side effects. I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I might be wrong. But from many individuals I know, loads of people do get side effects. Indeed, they do. That's from my own experience.
Let's end with this because it makes me look good, right? I would be open, as long as it's the correct medication, I will be open to trying it.
Yeah.
But it has to be the right one.
I might have to send you the scales because, and the scales might not even work for you, but if I can't find your ADHD and your ASD, the actual, where you were diagnosed, those assessments, then I'll have to send you the scales and send them to your solicitor as well, okay?
That's perfectly understood, and in order
If I find them, you won't need to do it.
I understand. And in order to promote transparency and accountability, I want to share something with you. I don't care about looking good. I speak my mind. But I acknowledge, could I have come across better at this being in certain areas? Yes. I think I've been good overall with truth bombs and being factual. I think I've been very good in certain areas. In terms of my attitude, could I have been better? To validate your feelings here? Yes. And in order to promote self-accountability myself? Yes. However, I would respectfully ask you to consider beard scratching son's face, case takes nearly a year to shut. Being accused of strangulation, contact with my child's. Recently been told I can't spend birthday.
What's been
Recently
observed?
told I can't spend Christmas
Observed.
with my child. The email I read you, all the points
Christmas.
about.
Can't
I
spend
would respectfully
with
ask
him.
you to consider that and take that into consideration. I apologise for any offence caused. I will try and improve, okay?
No problem. Don't worry. And that's the only thing I'll leave it with. That you might get those questionnaires, okay?
And thank you for your advice. I do appreciate you. And it was very good advice. And I will take that on board for tomorrow. I will. I mean that. And I thank you. You're doing your job, but thank you for telling me that. I do concur with what you're saying. And I will do my best to be political and peaceful whilst being respectfully aggressive and speaking my truth.
It's playing the game, okay?
Yeah, but I'm not going to be fake either. I'll play the game, but I'll be real and be me. You know? That's just who I am. All right. Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
All the best. God bless. Bye-bye.
So, sorry about this very long live. My longest ever one to date, over 3 hours. If you're somehow by a miracle still here and made it until the end, God bless you more than ever before. Thank you for making it through to the end of this video and consuming it. At the time of this live ending, it's 2:36 a.m. and this was a long one to get through. But I hope I provided some insights and some value, and it's just another layer of authenticity, purity, and truth relating to my son's and his father's comeback story and our journey of what's happened and transpired. At least it's not in 2 parts, this video. I apologise to be self-accountable. I was going to do it in 2 parts due to the length, and I got so immersed in it. But maybe it would come across better this way by doing such. But I'm going to just shut up now and go to sleep. But yeah, until next time, and there will be a next time. Much love. God bless. Take care. Blessings. And salut. Thank you very much. All right. And I'll try and go live this Sunday evening. Much love and respect.